But your eyes are flying.
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Real Shit Show. Because, man, I was about to start off by myself. But, oh, well, that's the way it is. Real life throws shit in our direction, and we never know whether or not we're going to be prepared or not. But thank you, Chris, for joining me. And thank you, Bruce.
Hey.
I hope you guys are okay. And
Hey, Janet.
there's a little bit of feedback. I think it might be coming from Bruce or Chris. I don't know for sure.
I'm gonna silence the mic real quick.
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
Well, I only hear it every so often, so I don't know where it's coming from.
Now.
I don't hear it now, but I don't know what it was. It just sounded like a little bit of feedback or something.
Well, check mine. Test
I don't
one,
know how to
two,
check.
No, testing 1, 2, 3. Do you hear it?
No, I don't hear it now. But well, I had a few things I was going to start off with, because I always try to start off with something, a little bit funny. And this came across my timeline, and I thought it was hilarious. And I'm like, I want to get it from my own phone. It's a text. It's happening, and they're talking to each other, these two people. So I want you guys to see it. Here we go. Have you guys seen that before?
Yeah.
You have? Oh my God. When I saw it, it made me think of all of us at our game texting each other. Oh my God, wouldn't that be great? I just love it. And the fact that they put it to music, I thought was even better. But I just loved it. I thought it was so funny. And when I saw it, I was like, I've got to have gotta have it. And it's an app. There's a couple of apps that you can get that when you type in certain words, another word that's like old Shakespearean type stuff like that will come up. I just loved it. I thought it was really good. But you have seen it before, Bruce?
I've seen that before.
I can't believe it. It's so funny. I can't believe I've never seen anything like it before. But
Thought
I
about
put,
it today. That's all.
you saw it today?
Today at 10 a.m.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it was you that shared it in the timeline or somewhere because I just thought this morning and I thought it was hilarious. So I sent it to the shit show chat. But tonight I'm airing to YouTube, Rumble, and Kick. So and it's working so far. I think it's working.
Why aren't you streaming to X?
Because I can only stream to 3 places. But if you're going to stream to Rumble, are you going to stream to Rumble from here?
No. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say if you are, then I'll swap over to X.
No, go ahead. Your
Okay.
Rumble needs to grow.
Okay, well, I was just trying to, put it where it's helping me the most. And if people are watching me on X, they're not watching me on the channels that I need them to watch them on. So I figured, oh well, I'll just stop airing so much to X and try to put it on the channels I need it on. So, oh well, that's the way it goes. But I thought that was hilarious. So I figured I'd share it. This next thing I wanted to share, I thought was another thing that was kind of funny, but it does make a lot of sense. So I wanted to share this real quick. Hold on, click on here. I think it's this one. Yeah, here we go. All right, I don't know if you guys saw this. It says, husband sets up demonstration for his wife in an attempt to answer why men miss on occasion. So did you guys see this?
I haven't had a chance to go through all the shit show chat, so go ahead.
Okay, here we go.
And we're about to prove ours. All right. Come on, what are we doing?
Shorten it up.
Shorten it?
Shorten that thing up.
No, yours comes down
Shorten
here.
that thing up.
That's cheating.
There you
That's
go.
not
No, it
fair.
ain't. No, it ain't.
Oh my gosh.
You ready?
Yeah, go.
All right, show me what you got.
Go.
Show me what you got. It's coming. Hold on.
Oh. Oh. What are you?
Come on. Get it in there. Get it in the bucket. Come on. Get it in the bucket now.
Now,
Get it in the bucket.
this ain't even
Get
right.
it in the bucket. Come on. And I
He's not
say
aiming right.
it comes out dual streams. That'd be shooting out left, right, dual streams. Come on. Get it in the bucket.
Well,
Get it in the bucket.
If
Come
you-
on now.
if you cut it off and back on,
What? Why I ain't got control over it cutting on
I mean,
and off?
I
That
know
thing cuts
you're
off by
like a
itself.
spout.
Come on, get it in there. You got it everywhere. It's
No.
all over yonder.
I'm
Get
going
it
on
in
my
there. You
phone.
missed. You missed. Now it's all over the back side of the toilet.
Oh my.
Get it in there. Come on.
Something's got to be.
I thought that was great because I didn't realize that it would go on and off all the time by itself like that. But when I shared it on X, I wrote this: then get closer or sit down. If it doesn't work, then you can clean up the mess. That's what I put. That's what I put on my X because I thought it was so funny. But is that true? When you guys are trying to go, it's going wacky like that?
I don't know about any other guys here in the chat, but when I first wake up in the morning and I head over for that first constitutional, there's a possibility I might split stream it. And so I try to get the majority in the can.
Okay, well, I just saw that and I was like, I had no idea that men had such a hard time with it going dribble fast like that.
And
So-
if you drank a lot the night before, it's really fun because like it comes out like a fire hose and goes down, and then like you can feel it still pushing but like you gotta press it out. You gotta like take a breath and push.
Force it.
Yep.
Like force it out. Well, that was that was interesting, but I had to share those because I just thought it was really funny. But
Yeah, by the time you get to be my age, Janet,
Mhm.
it's a management issue, the old bladder. I mean, they get crud in them, your kidneys don't work as good and all that kind of stuff. So, but what I was thinking about the whole time I was watching that is I just know that what she said is, why do you pee all over the bathroom? And he goes, all right, I'll show you. Come with me, right? And then he's really exaggerating it. Didn't like that. But,
well, yeah.
I've heard a lot of urologists say for a man to pee on the toilet is really bad because they don't empty their bladder out all the way. And then you get into that bladder infection stuff, which is,
Well, all I can tell
it's
you,
worse when you're older, I promise.
There's the worst problem about that, Chris, is like just after sex, but when you finish sending the kids out, you need to go to the bathroom and go clean the porcelain. You need to go wash the porcelain because if you don't, that's another source of bladder infections as well.
Yep.
Why they swim backward?
I'm a weirdo. I'm a nurse. I clean my
We're doing
house
the
up,
backstroke or something. Sorry,
you could eat off the floor.
But yeah, I was just shocked because I didn't realize, because when I go, I don't have anything like that. I mean, it doesn't go on, off,
No,
unless I want it to.
Just
You know
gravity
what I mean?
for you.
Yeah, but
Almost.
y'all's urethra is like,
It's a lot shorter than yours.
oh, it's really short. Yeah, it's basically a valve.
Well, I mean,
for us, it's got to go
honestly,
around corners. And
today, men can now date women that have a long urethra.
Yeah, because if you want to have a Thai boy.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you either like the short little ones or you like the long ones. So you guys do have a choice though. So I just like
that's not a choice, that's a suicide pact.
I couldn't help myself. But this other thing I found, I thought
let
was
me give you a hint about ladies getting old. Your urethra gets long too.
Well, I hope mine doesn't. But I wanted to share this with you guys because it's interesting. It's not funny. It's just interesting. And it really makes you think, because I haven't stopped thinking about it since I saw it. And I really do believe this is a true possibility. So I want to share this and see if you guys have seen this. It says, this conspiracy theory is still tripping me out, y'all. What do you think? Was this an inside job? And I'm going to make it bigger. I want you guys to see this. Now pay attention to this because this is I'm going to play this twice, I think. And then I'll share the link so you guys can share it. But I thought it was really interesting.
Oh, God. Let's die.
What do you guys think?
It's really thought provoking.
Yeah, I'm gonna just jump on it and call it clickbait. I mean,
really? You don't believe it? Could be possible?
No, I knew all the inside information on that investigation.
I was really surprised because it looked like when I just seen this before I even took this and put it on there, I was like, the way they hold their eyes and their brow already is like, wow. And the thin lip, upper lip, I don't know. I never thought about
the guy that did that guy and the dude that blew up the bomb at the Olympics in '96. Mm-hmm. They were both in the same white supremacy group, and I was on the Olympic bombing deal for Eric Robert Rudolph. So I mean, we used to go up and look for him in the mountains and all that kind of stuff, and I got pretty much all the intel on that. white supremacy group. I mean, besides that, I don't even think, looking at their faces are similar, but I wouldn't even call them doppelgangers.
There's some similarities, but it's
Very,
clickbait.
very similar. A lot more
Yeah.
than some of these other ones that people keep saying are the same people. Like that one guy that was dressed up as a cop, and then all of a sudden he looks like a protester for January 6th. You guys see that one too?
Yeah,
Not yet.
they're all that stuff fixing to come out. I mean,
Yeah, but do you believe that one? I've seen the way that they put it together, like this one, and I think that one looks less like this guy. Looks like Timothy McVeigh to me.
nah, man, Timothy McVeigh got put to death.
So I know.
I think what he did
That's what
was
they
horrible.
said. That doesn't mean it's true, but that's why I just wanted to share that. And I put it in the link in the chat for everybody, simply because I just think it's interesting. And if any of you can dig deeper and find some other comparisons with Timothy McVeigh, I don't know. The chin and everything, it's just shocking to me. And it doesn't look like he's wearing a mask on either one of them. So I don't know. I was really interested in that because it just looked very legitimate to me.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
I think the big telltale on it is the cheekbones, because your cheekbones tend to be bigger when you're older. And in that picture, Timothy's are not, they're not
now.
even in the same, they don't have the same shape. That's the real area where I can tell it's not the same person, because their cheeks don't line up right.
You don't think so either, Bruce?
No, I don't. This is good clickbait though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely clickbait because I clicked on it. But as it was going by and I saw the nose and the ears and stuff, I was like, holy shit. Is he still alive? Is that him? I mean, I really didn't. And I don't always believe all this, but this one with the two different ones, I was really I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. So we'll have to wait and see. But
Yeah, I watched the Timothy McVeigh lethal injection. And I think what he did was so horrible, okay? Horrible.
Yeah.
Right? But the stuff they had him doing in Afghanistan, or I guess it was Iraq back then, 96, it was Iraq. Okay, that guy killed a lot of people because he was a frontline machine gunner. And he came home to this Davidian complex thing, right? Well, I mean, his military disease, we'll call it, make him think it was okay to strike out militarily.
Mm-hmm.
But everything about Oklahoma City was wrong. I mean, Ann Richards, who was the governor of Texas then, I mean, she was drunk during that, and she ordered tanks to attack children. I mean, that was not right. What Timothy McVeigh did wasn't right. But when he was on that lethal injection table and he got his chance to say his last words, he made a famous quote by a U.S. president about liberty and the government turning into what basically it has been under the Biden administration. So
what was it he said? I don't remember them putting that on TV about him speaking.
Oh no, you can. I believe you can probably still find that video of his lethal injection somewhere, on the dark web or somewhere. But I watched it, and I wish I could remember exactly which president it was he quoted. It was one of the old World War I or World War II generals. And
I don't know.
He became a president.
I don't remember seeing anything about his last words. I mean, maybe they did, but I just don't remember it. I don't know where Ruben is. I haven't heard from him, and I hadn't heard from anyone. So I was like, well, I guess I'll do the show by myself. But thank you, Chris, for stepping in, and thank you, Bruce, for showing up. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm using the icon tonight. I got caught in a thunderstorm on the golf course today. I looked like I went through a car wash in a convertible.
But you had fun before it rained, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and once the lightning started, it wasn't fun. I was
Well, I
way
mean,
out on the
before
golf
that.
course and had a long ride back in.
But Bruce, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
Oh, McVeigh chose a poem, Invictus. This is off of stylecaster.com.
Okay. Thank
The
you.
Latin word Invictus means unconquerable or undefeated. Just before his death, Timothy McVeigh handed a copy of the poem by William Ernest Henley to the prison warden. Those present at McVeigh's execution reported that he died with his eyes open and without saying a word. So the poem is truly his last statement, and it speaks of defiance. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul, the poem reads, going on to speak on how even under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. In general, the poem makes a point to emphasize resilience in the face of adversity, which proves McVeigh considered his cause right until the bitter end and saw himself as a martyr. For McVeigh, the bombing was a legitimate tactic against what he saw as a tyrannical government. Not just that, the poem is also about defiance and inner strength in the face of adversity, which McVeigh seems to believe he was displaying. In particular, he was seeking revenge against government for the 1993 Waco siege, as well as the 1992 Ruby Ridge incident. God bless those people. He had a particular aversion to federal agencies like the Bureau of the ATF and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which is partly why he chose the target he chose and the date of the bombing. As the last lines of the Invictus show, McVeigh felt victorious even in death. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Well,
Yeah, I think maybe
we
one of
all
the
are.
presidents said
Agree.
that last phrase in there. I think one of the presidents that was an ex-general had quoted that line out of that poem. So I guess that's where I got that from. That's all that stuff you read I didn't remember. The last part, the last sentence, I remember clear as a bell. That was a long time ago. I was
Yeah, it
probably
was. But
35 years old then.
when I saw that it come across my timeline, I just thought it was really, it took me aback. I was like really surprised by it because it really did look like it could be him. So, that's the only reason I wanted to
Just
share
on
it.
Invictus itself, in a speech to the House of Commons on September 9th, 1941, Winston Churchill paraphrased the last two lines of the poem, stating, "We are still masters of our fate. We are still the captains of our souls." Then Nelson Mandela, while incarcerated at Robben Island Prison, recited the poem to the other prisoners and was empowered by its message of self-mastery. And there's a whole bunch of people that have used the various lines from the poem until then. Bloody but Unbowed was the headline used by the Daily Mirror on the day after the 7 July 2005 London bombings. The Draw Muhammad comic paper inspired bombing. And if your religion can't stand criticism, you're not really a religion. You're just a shitty cult.
That's true.
I got to throw a kidney punch in on anybody that follows that fucking Ishmael piece of shit. Okay. The Christ Mosque church shootings in 2019, New Zealand, cited the Invictus as well.
Mhm.
It's just a widely used poem by people who feel like they're rebels against society. And there was always a guy on the internet, or excuse me, actually he was on the radio, and I don't know if he was a conspiracy theorist or if he was somebody that should be even listened to, but I love G. Gordon Liddy. But he used to talk all the time about the things that happened at the Oklahoma City bombing. Like they found a boot issued to GIs and FBI agents within the rubble. Not boots, a boot. And then, like a month and a half before the bombing, they'd put a daycare inside the building itself. So now there's kids that are part of the target. And then the biggest piece of anecdotal discussion was that all of the files from the Hillary Clinton Whitewater case, all of that was within the building, the hard copies, when the building was exploded. So there was always was this a single man or was this a red flag done by members of the CIA?
I don't know. A combination.
We're talking about shit that happened 32 years ago.
I know, but it sounds like a combination of a mixture of groups that work together to make a statement. Maybe.
Yeah, what period did you say Invictus came from? Was that like French Revolutionary, or was that back in Roman times?
This is the poem Invictus. Let me Google Invictus real quick. And
I mean, by the name of it, it sounds like it could go all the way back to Greece or Rome.
This is a.
It's like an anarchist anthem or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the French Revolution, the anarchy was off the chain.
Well, isn't that what it was written for in the first place?
Yes.
Hardwiki is saying it was written in 1888.
That's French Revolution, exactly.
Yeah. Henley wrote it in 1875, and in 1888 he published it.
Yeah, man. That France back then was a lot like what we're going through now, with crap like Nancy Pelosi eating $25 ice cream, and while people can't even leave their house. I mean, very similar stuff going on with Marie Antoinette. I mean, they beheaded her over her shit. She bankrupted France.
There's a part of me that wants to try that $25 ice cream. I'm sorry, I am a glutton, but at least I fucking admit to my fucking sin on that. Meanwhile, we got a whole month fucking dedicated to Pride, and the other six major sins are looking at Pride like, you motherfucker.
Well, yeah, but this next thing I thought was pretty interesting before we get to the actual
the meat of the discussion for tonight.
Yeah, the meat, the deep stuff. This is another thing that I thought was really, really nice. I really like this guy. I've played him a few times from TikTok, but he was upset about something Rand Paul was talking about the Act of 1935, 48-943 HR 8687.
Oh, that one.
The reciprocal tariff one. So I thought I'd play this for you because a few people I've listened to talk about it, and I think this guy hits it on the head. So let me make sure it's turned up right here. Yeah, here we go.
Hey, everybody, if you're dealing with these liberals saying that the power of the tariffs is supposed to rest with Congress, I'm not only going to completely destroy that argument, but I'm going to equip you with the information and the statutes to be able to do so. So the argument from liberals is that the Constitution says that tariffs are supposed to be imposed by Congress. And that's true. But did you know that there was a really important reason why Trump used the words reciprocal? Like, people were telling him he should have used proportional or reasonable, but there was a very specific reason he used the word reciprocal. And that's because of the Reciprocal Tariff Act of 1934. It's 48 Statute 943, introduced into the House as H.R. 8687, and signed into law by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. This is a law that has never been redacted. This is a law that is still in use. And the purpose of this law is to give sole power to the President of the United States to impose reciprocal tariffs. That is the entire point of this law. And that is why Donald Trump, when imposing these tariffs, specifically stated them as reciprocal and made sure that he imposed no tariffs on any nation that did not already tariff us, because then it wouldn't be reciprocal. But yeah, if you're dealing with a liberal who's like, Congress is supposed to control tariffs, introduce them to the Reciprocal Tariff Act of 1934. And then ask them, do they still have an argument?
Yeah, I like that guy. But I'm going to share that in the chat with everyone.
So they brought
hey, everybody,
that up
if you're
on
dealing
Fox. They brought that up on Fox News tonight, and they said immediately the Democrats said they're going to try to put an injunction on reciprocal tariffs. And then they looked at it, the law, really looked into it. And there's like 7 different ways the president can enforce tariffs. where they don't have anything to do with it at all. And all of them are tied back to that 1934. Man, FDR, there's this great guy. He does, it's called Forbidden History, I think, on YouTube. And he's an ex-Marine. He's really high speed. He's a great investigator. But he tells the dirty side of presidencies or, war conflicts or anything like that. And he really gets down to it. If you've never looked at his channel, you should go look at it, because he did a 3-part one on FDR, and he was corrupt as hell. I mean, he was the 3-term president that made him make a law you could only have 2 terms. And the way he did it was he just pretty much overthrew the election for the 3rd term based on the fact we were in a war. Well, the war was going on over in Europe. So, I don't know. That's just one of the things FDR did, but he made a lot of laws so that he could be dictatorial. He came in at the Depression, the Great Depression. He did the great Big New Deal or whatever it was, and they were doing highways and roads and interstates and doing all of this stuff. Well, man, he put America in a huge amount of debt, and Social Security started under him, and that's turned out to be one of the biggest money laundering scams in the history
I put a
of the world.
book. There's an Amazon link in private chat, you two, and you can share it with the class. It's called FDR's Folly: How Roosevelt and His New Deal Prolonged the Great Depression. It's written by Jim Powell, and I would recommend people that want to be a little bit more educated on FDR go ahead and pick it up. There's 1 copy left. There's other versions of it out there between $12 and $20, but it's a very well documented book. They've got a lot of anecdotal evidence in there and a lot of factual evidence in there. The anecdotal stuff is just things you have to put together in your head one by one, and then the factual evidence, they give good dates, times, site sources, etc. But this book here is critical if you want to defeat a liberal in verbal combat with them sucking FDR's dick and saying how well he was for America and how great he was. This is exactly the book that you start opening up on chapter and verse. It's perfect for using little yellow stickies as bookmarks, and you get good with this book, and you can smash 90% of all the liberal arguments out there today because they're still using the same shitty playbook that FDR used. And I would recommend anybody use this. I did not come across this book by my own self. I was taught about this book by G. Gordon Liddy.
Yeah, I always liked G. Gordon Liddy. Probably the worst thing about FDR, and people don't know about it, is that he was one of the people who had to go in front of the Nuremberg trials, right? And it was over his relationship with Pope, whatever it was, the 15th. They both kind of were behind the eradication of Jews. Well, and they didn't really talk about it publicly, but it came out in the Nuremberg trials, and they made some rules against the United States over that issue.
Interesting.
I can't remember what the Pope's name was right now. I should know it, but I just don't.
That's okay. We can't always remember everything at the drop of a hat.
But I really got to give hat tip to our chatter, Hardwick Benflow. I don't know him personally, but he's always come up with corrections and citations and such. Appreciate you being here, Mr. Benflow. If ever there's a point where we could bring you on, and or if nothing else, be like the Jamie to our Joe Rogan, that'd be mucho appreciated.
Yeah, he had this right here. I thought was interesting. That he put in the chat. Yeah, he's like an encyclopedia almost. He knows so much. He's very quick with his typing too, to be able to find things so quickly. You must have a really good computer system.
Well, you can just ask Grok if you want to know details about stuff.
Well,
that
I don't
is
know.
Really interesting about why that man wrote that.
Grok makes lots of mistakes.
Yeah,
okay.
I've seen Grok.
I have seen Grok make some really stupid mistakes. there was a friend of mine that's been sending me some stuff because she was wanting to maybe do a show on it, showing all the simple things that Grok makes mistakes on. And it's like over and over and over and making the exact same mistake like 20 times in a row, even though he said, let's fix that. And then he goes back and he still makes the same exact mistake. So he is not, I think he's more set up to get our responses more than making sure he's learning and making better responses.
Yeah,
honestly.
I don't think Grok or any of the AI is ready for prime time yet. That's just my own personal feeling.
Well, I don't think that the AI is being put out there for the same purpose that they're telling us it's put out there for. I think it's more on studying and getting us to give up information more than it's learning from us. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but I'm very
it does, but there's another reason also that you're not mentioning.
What? Which thing?
If you put into, be it Bing or Google or whatever it may be that you're using, you're going to get a response with these new AI programs that suck all the water out of the United States. You're going to get a new response that it's based on your question, and it might give you the right answer, but it's meant to dissuade you from scrolling down and going to somebody else's page. Instead, you keep using that search engine over and over again, and it considers that a win if you just use the information that the AI spits out. You don't go to like Wikipedia or somewhere else to double check and see if they got things correct. It's completely based on finance.
Unless you're like Shells, one of my friends who's been sending me some stuff, showing me that she is specifically asking things. And then at first she would just ask it a general question, but then when it got it wrong, she was like, what? So then she made her mission to see how bad it really was when you ask these certain questions. And it was really interesting. I thought it was, I'll have to send you guys some of that stuff that she sent me, because I don't have all the notes in front of me and stuff right this minute, but it was very interesting, because she spent quite a lot of time asking it the same questions, but in different ways, which should have all had the same answers, but the answers were always wrong. So I thought it was great. So I thought she was really smart when she did it. But this next thing I wanted to bring up, I thought was pretty interesting. But I like Jesse, so some of the things that he actually brings up on his show, I think, are very entertaining. And he likes us to share this stuff. That's why he puts it out on X. So here we go.
Jesse Waters.
Yeah, Jesse. So here, this whole thing is about, it's a video by Jesse Waters, discusses the Democrat Party's actions and rhetoric regarding Donald Trump and Joe Biden. So it's pretty interesting. So I'm going to get on here and make it bigger.
The big guy's back.
Mr. President, how are you feeling?
I like that. How you doing, Joe?
Smoking Joe's keeping the hoax alive, but his team's not feeling it. They're freaking out that Biden's library isn't going to open when he's alive to see it, and may never open. Joe's own donors say they're not giving him a dime. He even lowered his speaking fee, but after all these books came out, no one wants to book him. Here's why.
It is a scandal.
Yes.
It is without question, and maybe even worse than Watergate in some ways.
Right.
Because Richard Nixon was in control of his faculties when he wasn't drinking.
Worse than Watergate was a running joke during the first Trump term, but after Biden, now the joke's on them. If Biden-gate is worse than Watergate, Tapper's one of the plumbers. Jake's confessing to a crime, but won't apologize.
Do you feel that you owe the American people an apology for slightly dropping the ball with this, and not just to Lara Trump?
I feel like I owe the American people an acknowledgement that I wish I had covered the story better.
Why does Tapper sound so lawyered up? I'm not going to apologize, but I'll give an acknowledgement. Maybe he's hearing what we're hearing. The Biden investigation's off to a strong start. Jake's defense, being stupid isn't a crime.
I think that we need to be skeptical of everything that we are told by people in power. And I mean, that obviously should be the mantra of being a journalist to begin with. If your mother tells you she loves you, get a second source. But we just need to remember that, like, politicians lie.
This is bullshit, what he's saying.
Thank
How
you.
many times did all of us conservative people on all different platforms say this is bullshit and nobody's checking, for the truth? And what happened to us? We got kicked off the platforms. See? So what he's saying is bullshit lies, because Facebook was even came out and said that the owner from Facebook even came out and said in Congress that he was forced to do this to us, to people like me. That's why I'm not on Facebook anymore until after 2020, because I was harassed constantly and told to take something down because they didn't agree with it. Stuff like that. This is all bullshit, what he's saying. He is so full of shit. And I can't believe anybody would believe this guy.
I'm taking it a little different and trying to laugh at it and saying all the things I got kicked off or posted on social media are the things on the news now. And then laugh about it. It's like, that's pretty cool when you're, there's actually people that will protest, get microphones and sing in horrible voices, stupid made up songs that still believe all that horse shit. It's like, oh my God.
The thing is this person can sit and look at people in the face and say this shit with a straight face. And I know he's full of shit. And I know he knows that he's lying. It's disgusting to me that a person can sit there and tell you an open lie and not flinch or make any. I don't know.
Oh my God. You should watch some subcommittee meetings on C-SPAN and on Forbes magazine and some of those other, the aggressive news sites that'll really put it to the camera in their face.
Well, I just hope people
they will
fall for
sit
this
there
shit.
and lie to Congress. Like, they just lied to them. Look, think about
Well,
what
half the
Fauci did.
congressmen are liars. I mean, that's all they are. I can't even sit very long at all and watch any of these people because I mean, it's disgusting. I wish if every person that did this stuff and did it over multiple times, their hair would catch on fire or something. Something would happen to them every time they did it, so they would stop doing it. I mean, I'm just sick of it.
White Houses lie. Power is an aphrodisiac, and we just need to all remember that and not take at face value anything that we're told.
Jake's been in the business for 3 decades, and now he notices politicians lie. He knew the whole time politicians lie. He just went along with hiding Biden's. But let's just go along with this for argument's sake, okay? Jake just admitted he missed the biggest story of the century. Tapper basically admitted he's blind because Watergate was a secret. There was no video. Reporters had to crack it. Bidengate was on TV every day. Aren't news anchors supposed to know the news before the public? Tapper is saying the public knew the news before he did. Journalists can't be the last ones to know the scandal. That means they're not a journalist. Tapper should resign. If you missed Bidengate or you covered it up, what else did you miss? What else did you cover up? The border? Epstein, the lab leak? Democrats are like the suspect that goes, yep, officer, you got me, I did it, and thinks he's just confessing to a single crime. And there's like a dozen other crimes with his fingerprints all over them that detectives can easily connect to him. Politicians lie, right, Tapper? So the Afghan pullout wasn't Trump's fault. The Democrats probably were just importing new voters over the border. And maybe Trump didn't sleep with Stormy. This is only the beginning. The FBI is opening up an investigation into the cover-ups of the White House cocaine, the DNC pipe bomb, and the Supreme Court abortion leaks. The last 4 years, one big cover-up. Comer told us the other night that he's already subpoenaed Biden aides to come in for depositions. And he'll be issuing subpoenas to Hunter and Dr. Jill, too. Sometimes when you confess to a crime, you feel better. A big weight is taken off your shoulders. Liberal philosopher Sam Harris said, "I'd destroy democracy to beat Trump."
Even that is preferable to me and to, I think, many Democrats than having someone who we consider to be genuinely evil, genuinely 100% purposed to serving himself in the office of the presidency. I would rather have a president in a coma where the duties of the presidency are executed by a committee of just normal people.
So the conspiracy that Biden wasn't running the country wasn't a conspiracy. It was their strategy. It's all coming out. Democrats wanted a brain-dead president with a shadow government and campaigned on saving democracy. If Joe had somehow won, unknown Biden handlers would have run the country. They would have controlled the Situation Room while Biden was taking a nap. Unnamed Biden aides say this: Biden just had to win, and then he could disappear for 4 years. He'd only have to show proof of life every once in a while. His aides could pick up the slack.
That's why they needed that auto pen. And they had to have his wife help because she's the one that had to keep him, drugged up or on whatever they had to have him on so he looked like he was coherent. So quite a few people were involved in making sure that everything flowed the way it was supposed to, who was supposed to say what, who was supposed to control this or control that, the whole thing. That means every single person that was in the Biden administration basically was involved. That's a shit ton of people. And they always say, well, it can't be conspiracy really if too many people are involved, because too many people being involved can't keep it secret. So they did a good job at pretty much quelling everyone and keeping people from talking about any of it. You know what I mean? It's pretty disgusting.
Remember Seth Rich?
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rich was what they did to keep everybody quiet for the next decade.
Yeah,
they just straight gunned him down right in the street.
Yeah,
and they dared
they
anybody
got away
to
with
talk.
it. But to see, that's the scary part. It's not just the fact that they shot somebody, it's the fact that they got away with it. That's what was scary. That's why I believe this whole Diddy case is important, because the stuff coming out on how they used the blackmail to control people is what is going to open the door, I think, for the Epstein stuff. So we'll see what's going to happen with all this stuff.
You're talking Seth
they
Rich.
just told-
Don't forget Michael Hastings.
Oh, yeah. It's a long list, Bruce. It's a long list, friend.
Yeah, there's a lot of names out there. All you got to do is look at some of the names that are associated with Hillary Clinton. So yeah, it's scary.
Told you Trump was Hitler to justify beating him by any means necessary. That means lying to you, arresting him, maybe even shooting him. Because if they covered up Biden, why wouldn't they cover up Butler? This was a shady crew.
But these aides were not even Senate confirmed aides. These are White House aides. These were unelected people. And one of the things that really, I think, comes out in our reporting here is that if you believe, and I think a lot of these people do sincerely believe, that Donald Trump was and is an existential threat to democracy, you can rationalize anything, including sometimes doing undemocratic things, which I think is what this person is talking about.
To themselves, they never thought Trump was a threat to democracy. He was just a threat to win back the White House. If Trump won, he'd catch him lying and stealing. There's motive. Trump wasn't running on anything radical. Drill, baby, drill. Close the border. Men and women are different. It's common sense. Meanwhile, Democrats are making no sense. Jazzy Crockett says, my president's not brain dead. Yours is.
It is time for Republicans to start calling him out and start questioning his mental acuity and whether or not he is equipped to serve mentally.
The New York Times just reported this. If politicians were animals, Democrats wouldn't last one day in the wild. The paper interviewed over 200 swing state voters, and they said Republicans are apex predators like lions, tigers, and sharks, beasts that take what they want when they want it. Democrats are typically tagged as tortoises, slugs, or sloths, slow, plodding, passive. They're deer in the headlights. Debbie Diamond Hand says, don't call me an animal.
I'm not focused on the animals that some New York Times reporter compares the political parties to. My constituents are human beings. So I'm focused on the humans I represent, not, animal comparisons.
Focusing on the dead that vote for her.
Do what?
She focuses on the dead people that vote for her.
Yeah, I don't. What kills me about all of this is that nothing's changed. Nobody's been arrested for anything yet when it comes to the stuff that's coming out. So I'm hoping that before the end of the year, people are arrested for this, because this is isn't this what you consider treason or something? I mean,
what's your definition of treason would be the first question, I guess.
Putting somebody in office by lying, cheating, and stealing, getting somebody in office, and then not even the person that supposedly won is doing anything. They're laundering money. They're lying and paroling people, giving them pardons and stuff without a president actually signing any documents. All this stuff. They're sending millions and billions of dollars to other countries that want to kill us, to buy weapons, and sending them weapons to kill us. All this stuff is like all of it it's against us. It's against the whole country of the United States of America. Okay. It's undermining every one of us.
Before we start broad brushing the entire USG under Trump, that this is not going to turn out the way we want to. We did have something come out yesterday. Dan Bongino says he found the FBI room with the hidden Comey era evidence. Do you remember that? He was on all the big talk shows about a month ago. Then yesterday he was on Fox.
Yeah.
And he said that he's found a room that was hidden from us before. And he rebuked Comey while describing what the agency had found, saying, "Wait till you read this stuff." The deputy director noted that the room containing the information was not mentioned to him or FBI Director Kash Patel when taking over the agency. I wouldn't call it hidden, but it was hidden from us at least and not mentioned. So they were lying by omission when they turned over everything for the FBI chair and et cetera, et cetera. But now he says this on Fox News and Friends and Fox News, Fox and Friends. And just so you know, because I get the public, I totally understand people saying, "We'll do it now." The process is that not all information is ours to declassify. Some of the other intelligence agencies is not. We cannot do it. And once that gets done and gets out there, and you read some of the stuff, we found out, by the way, it was not processed through normal procedure, digitizing it and putting it in the FBI records. We found it in bags hiding under Jim Comey's FBI, and you're going to be stunned. Okay. Now, there's a lot of people that are running him through the grinder saying that this is a nothing burger, but with him coming out with this, to me, it seems like Bongino is still trying to do something for the American public. He wants to have a good rapport with you and me in the chat, because he's not going to be in his position at the FBI. And what would he do after that? He'd probably go back into media again. And if he's not reliable, then he's not going to have an audience, because we're going to be like, fuck that guy. He was a disgrace. He didn't do shit. So he's trying to come clean on things. He's trying to reveal stuff. I bet there's a list of things he can't fucking disclose that he's never going to be able to talk about, like the evidence on the fucking Epstein list, or, what exactly happened on the Christmas Day of 2020 in Nashville. He won't be able to talk about that, but he'll be having a pile of stuff he can reveal to us, and at least he can give us that. And is it the steak dinner that I want to share with all of you? No, but at least we're going to be able to get ourselves at least enough good meat for a fucking barbecue and be able to salute him with a beer, like saying, well, at least you fucking did something, unlike Pam Bondi. And really, I hate to say Kash Patel is a do nothing, but he's not doing enough for me yet. That's my problem with Kash. I haven't seen him move any chess pieces yet. at least Bongino is at least touching base 1 month after taking a hiatus from the public eye. I like that. And you guys call me a dick if you want. I don't care. I'm going to sleep with a fan on tonight.
I'm not going to call you a dick. I think you have every right to say that.
I believe what's going to be discovered and what we can all probably agree to is what they did. I don't know if it treason. I think opening the border, that was treason, aiding and abetting, sworn enemies.
I don't know why we can't process on that.
But I think soft coup is what they were able to do, right?
Yeah, by splitting up.
I think all of that started prior to the 2017 inauguration because they took Flynn out, they took David Petraeus out, they took some generals out of the army. It's like, what the hell's going on? Well, that was all about, they just didn't want us to find Benghazi.
Yeah,
right?
but the one thing is, I can definitely say is they only have to arrest 1 or 2 people to start the process, and it can be just on the 2020 election. They already have all this proof about Comey and all of them and the fake Steele dossier and all that. That's enough right there to start arresting people.
There is
according to us, yes, it is. But according to them, it's not, because everything they're finding leads them to another clue, But this time, the clue doesn't lay underneath the purview of the FBI. This is under some piece of shit like James Brennan, who was the CIA director, also
John
a
Brennan.
fucking Muslim. John Brennan, fuck him. Brennan's a piece of shit and turncoat Muslim. Fuck that piece of shit. And the thing is that
who cares who's it under? It's evidence.
But the thing is that it's not under the purview of the FBI to disclose this. They got to clear it with the CIA to disclose it. And the CIA closes ranks harder than the FBI does.
There's not a person in America who thinks that we don't have a 2-tier justice system. And the top tier of that is a protection ring for corrupt individuals.
So what you're trying to tell me, Bruce, is that if I worked for the CIA and I went and I stabbed somebody in the back for whatever reason, okay, and then I went and I hid my knife and everything with the CIA people, right?
Or not even with the CIA.
Then somebody in the FBI finds the body and stuff. So now it's a FBI case, but now it leads them back to the CIA, and the CIA says, we're not giving you that information. So now I get away with murder. Is that what you're trying to say? That's how it works?
I'm pretty much saying, like, for the Biden era people, yep. And if there's some guys, there's some dirty
we have new people in charge now. So why can't they take the evidence, put it together? Because we have a new CIA and a new FBI. Put it together and make a case. I don't understand. Why
apparently, there's a process of discovery that has to be made. There's a process of reveal that has to be made, and then there's a process of punishment that has to be made. And it as much as you, me, the rest of Chris, the chat, we all think like all this can be resolved within an afternoon. We're talking about the U.S. government.
I know, but so why doesn't Kash Patel say, here's the evidence that we have? This is the FBI. You know how like what's his name? Glenn Beck, when he does his show, he has like 5 chalkboards, right? And he has different graphs and charts on each of the chalkboards. And he says, this group of people, blah, blah, blah. And he points to all the evidence he's got. And then he says, but they are linked by these 2 people that if you go across here to this board, and then he shows that board and how it's all linked together. Why doesn't Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and them show how all these are linked? But the only problem we're having with being able to put this together and make a case is that the people in the CIA, these people, and name them, they won't give us the evidence. They won't let us have that. We've already seen it, but they won't sign off on it and let us have it and put the target on the people that deserve to have targets on them. Why can't they do that?
It would be lovely if we could. The problem
why
that
can't
we have, they've separated. Okay, during Biden, during Obama, during Clinton, the main things that happened in government, the first things that happened is that there were firewalls put between these various departments for this very reason. So there would be no trading of information. If you discovered something that was over on CIA property, or if you found something that was in the holdings of the ATF, or if you found some things that was dirt that was in the FEMA, you wouldn't be able to just navigate laterally. You would have to basically walk out the building in person, drive or Uber over to this place, see a receptionist. The receptionist tells you to fuck off. Here's the person you need to call. Don't discuss things with me. I don't give a shit about your problem. And so you have to go back to your office, file a brief, fucking hopefully they don't do it via snail mail. It does email, but it's always in snail mail. So then it goes over to here. And the U.S. Postal Service is notorious for losing shit, right? So
Okay,
these
I
things,
understand.
they're
So you're
trying
saying
to
there's a
unravel
lot of-
the entire fucking problem within the government. They've got
So there's
firewalls
lots of-
in.
There's lots of firewalls. Okay.
Right.
So instead of saying, well, we're going to burn down all the firewalls, which would this, that, and the other, or whatever our Congress can come up with to break the firewalls, instead of doing anything to get rid of the firewalls, they're just going to say, oh, well, fuck it. We can't do shit. Everybody just do whatever the fuck you want and fuck the American people. So that's basically what you're saying?
That happens next week. Right now, they're trying to motion briefs. They're trying to get things legally done under the auspice that they're not trying to rock the boat in a certain way, because there's still people that are going to be working in the FBI, working in CIA, that are just rum-dum fucking clerks and data handlers, and they're looking at, keeping their jobs. So they want to do things, but they're not going to do them real fast, because that's how the government goes, right? Remember the fucking coal mine in Pennsylvania that has all the fucking retirement records?
If you're the leader of the FBI or the CIA, you can't take a letter and take it to this person's desk and say, you have 30 days to hand this over to me.
For
If
you to
do
do
not
that,
hand it over,
that
you will
requires-
not have a job, period. And
That-
they don't have the right to do that?
That was how we went into this administration, thinking that we would have Doge and Cash and all these people ready to go, ready to load up and, take the fucking DC by storm. We'd get rid of the fucking deep state. But instead, the deep state has reared its ugly head. Something's happened. 2 weeks ago, Kash Patel and fucking Dan Bongino both went on TV and said, man, there ain't no way in hell that Epstein was murdered. We've seen the tapes. He died by himself, blah, 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 blah. We've got the files. There's no way. So automatically, it tells me that there's some compromised people there. And so they're going to be controlled. Because if they went in with that fucking big dick energy, that orange man energy that I'd prefer them to have, then the deep state would start unraveling and start seeing who's a puppeteer holding this guy, holding this guy, holding this guy. But instead, there's been some compromises that have been already made, and we've already seen that on television.
Okay,
never underestimate the
so
power.
what you're saying is Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are compromised already.
We already had that information last week.
Okay, remember what I said last year when they were saying they wanted to put Dan Bongino in a position? Remember when they were saying that? And I said, why would we want Dan Bongino? Well, he's this and he's that. And I said, well, wasn't he one of the lead people, Secret Service people protecting Obama? And everybody said, yeah. And I said, and he used to watch as whatever was going on with the pizza and hot dog parties just walked by little tiny children into these things, and he did nothing. So why would I want to trust this person? See, I said that I had my doubts about him, and everybody's got mad at me for it.
I didn't. I only know so much about the guy, first off.
I know, but that's what his job was. If a person, I don't care who you are, if you're a CIA or FBI or whatever, and you can sit at your desk and watch little children walk by as they're being taken into a room, which is called a hot dog party, and do nothing and say nothing, then you're no better than the people in there doing the things.
Janet, you're
That's
right.
how I look at it.
Also, at the same time, I'm going to tell you that there's been a lot of other Secret Service and CIA and other individuals that do like America, that they took this job and they didn't care who the president was. But once little fucking Barry Soetoro and Big Mike got in, they had to basically go back under the Clinton-esque rules where, hey, listen, at 3 o'clock, we're going to be doing something. So why don't you CIA people go stand outside and smoke your cigarettes away from your desks. Because if not, we're going to make your life very difficult. You're going to have fucking a hard time getting your raises. Your retirement might be affected. So I'm pretty certain that things that were going on in the White House during fucking the Clinton era, when Hillary Clinton was around, you didn't make a peep. You didn't make a sound. You didn't cross her in the hallway. You didn't even fucking try to look in her direction or make eye contact because she hated you and she would get you erased. So then, after hearing about this, little gay boy, little drug boy Barry Soetoro, the half-cracker piece of shit that he is, once he gets in office, he reinstates a lot of the policies from the previous Clinton era. Because George Bush made things to where things were rather transparent, as much as he could, unless it really affected him or his holdings in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the one thing I don't hear you guys talking about or mention,
what?
Plausible deniability is the most powerful weapon in the silencing of information. And in addition to that, I would say, like, I've been involved in a lot of cases where we absolutely knew they did it, or couldn't find a body, couldn't find the gun, you know, whatever. We knew. But there are certain things you have to cross these lines in due process.
Yep.
So I think that Cash Patel knew, Dan Bongino knew when they reported, we found a treasure trove of cover up. Now they have the evidence of all the things they knew and they have to organize it. It's not so much government that takes time as it is the legal process, because they're going to have somebody who, by oath to the Constitution, has to fight as hard as they can to prove somebody's innocence. And that's if they told them they killed them in a private room. That's just how our legal system works. So when you're on the side of trying to solve that stuff, the game, you know, it's a cat and mouse game. And if you can't get your hands on the evidence, you're not going to get an indictment in any level.
You accuse somebody this year, okay? Let's say they name some people, which they already have with the whole Comey thing. Comey was into it up to his eyeballs with all this cover up stuff to try to keep
convenient Patsy.
Okay, to get rid of Trump, right? The thing is, just like what he's saying right here, Hardwick, he's saying, all they have to do is say, well, we're gonna bring these charges up, blah blah blah, against Comey for his involvement in the whole thing with Trump, right? And then each month make Trump come out and publicly say, okay, well, it's been 2 months since we charged him. When is something going to be done? And maybe it won't go 4 years until he's out of office.
If they don't erase all those auto pen pardons, we're wasting a bunch of time even talking about it.
Why?
Because a presidential pardon means you did it. It's all okay. Go and play some golf. Enjoy your time at the beach.
Okay.
That's what that means.
So the thing is,
it wasn't even a human that did it.
Okay, but the thing is, if a person is involved in this, like certain things that one person was doing, I can't even remember the guy's name now, the Steele dossier guy. Okay, other people, underlings under him, were involved, right? Wasn't just him. It had to be a couple of his runners or his peons that didn't get pardons. Prosecute all them. Bring in every single person that worked underneath each of the people who got a pardon and prosecute every one of them. Hang them to dry and let them point the finger at the other person. Even if we can't prosecute them, they'll just stand there and say, oh, well, I got a pardon. See ya. And maybe they won't ever get a job or be able to make any more money. Do whatever we can, but at least prosecute all the other people underneath. And maybe the next people that decide to do some kind of bullshit and they got a bunch of underlings, the underlings to step out and say, no, I can't do that, because they know they're the ones who are going to take the shaft.
Well, I think that this discussion is generally the public consensus of how we want all this handled. the problem is that all has to be done in this corrupted system. This and there's everything goes against us. Plausible deniability, the pardons, and then due process, and the fact that they hide evidence, they create evidence, like the Steele dossier. They created that evidence. Okay,
Yeah, I know.
evidence is a weird thing. You know, it can be fabricated, it can be like twisted. You don't ever hear the truth in a courtroom, hardly ever. Hardly
Okay,
ever.
so what I want to say is this: if nothing gets done to any of these people, when all the proof that's out there, okay, simply because someone's dragging their feet in this office and another person's dragging their feet over there and another person's dragging their feet over there, how can any court in the land at all arrest a single person and put them behind bars every day in a process where you and I can get arrested and be in jail within a year, but all these people, nothing ever happens to them? Why can't my lawyer bring it up that, well, this person did this, that, and the other, way worse than my client, yet she's going to go to prison and these people are still sitting over there? Why is justice swift for her, but not for anyone else?
Janet, it's like,
So
it's just like a
throw
club.
Janet in and let her be a congressman or a senator. And guess what? I don't go to prison.
Yeah, well, I mean,
what you're saying?
you just said a lot right there. People need to run for office and get people in here who will stand up for the American
Yeah, but by the
people.
time I ran for office, if I won, I wouldn't be able to do shit. I'm a nobody. They would just say, I'm going to kill your daughters and I'm going to do this, that, and the other if you say another damn word. So all I'm doing is putting myself out there to get my head chopped off, knowing that there's nobody out there that's going to listen to me or even care what I have to say, because just because they can't pay for me, they'll just kill my family. You see what I mean? So why would I want to put my family in that position? If everything out there is corrupt, they got so much evidence and they can't do shit. Why would someone like me risk my family's life to try to bring more sunlight to the problem when I know that nobody's going to put them in prison because everybody's paid off and taking it up the ass for the other guy? And then they'll just kill me in my sleep and not worry about it because I'm nobody. See, why would anyone want to put their family through that when there's no way? If President Trump and his team can't even move the boulder, why should anyone else try? That's what I'm asking. I'm asking you guys sitting here with me tonight, why should anybody get off their ass and go do anything, pay taxes, give a shit about anything, if we know that nothing we say or do is going to make any difference? This shit's going to go on and on and on. Tell me why we should care. That's what I'd like to know.
There are solutions. You have to focus on solutions, and there are solutions. They made us a really good plan with that Constitution, and it's not the Constitution's fault it failed. It's ours.
The Constitution doesn't stand for the people.
It's
not defending me. It's not defending anybody in this chat. It's not defending any of us.
It's being
because
subverted.
Our Congress and
it's
the
being
people in
subverted
office
by
are still
people
doing the
we
same
elected.
illegal shit
Janet,
day after day after day, and no one's going to get punished for it.
The Constitution is being subverted by certain people we elected, but by damn near every lobbyist and lifer bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. It's, it's like getting high. It's hard to quit getting high if you get high. If you're a drunk, you can't quit drinking. They're power tripping thieves that have been getting away with this shit for decades.
So what's
we
gonna
have to replace them. We have a vote.
Now, it's a corrupt system. We can't win. Look at Arizona.
That's not
look
true.
at Colorado. Look at California. Look at New York. And it's going to be Texas next, and then it's going to be Florida, and then it'll be Arkansas. It'll be all the states. None of us. There's nothing any of us can do. It's already so deep that we can't even get one arrest out of all these people because there's so much corruption. Then why should anybody even try anymore?
If I was in Congress and I was a corrupt person and I heard you talking like that, Janet, I would be elbowing the person next to me saying, "We won."
Yeah, they
giving
have.
up. No, they haven't won jack shit. I didn't give up anything. I
Well,
go up there and walk
we
around
haven't
in
won.
the,
We
in
haven't won
Congress.
a damn thing. If we can't even arrest one person after all this shit that we've seen in
Why are you
12
so worried about
15
arrest?
years,
What the fuck? If you commit treason, you're supposed to get shot. You're supposed to be
yeah, but
executed. I
somebody's
don't
got to
want
arrest them.
I want dead fucking
Somebody's got
bodies.
to arrest them and shoot them then. But they got to go to trial and be public where the people could see that something's being done. Because if
Well,
somebody
they're
says,
having
well, guess
Senate.
what?
Wait,
We
they're
have them
having
all
Senate
in
hearings.
Gitmo right now.
They're
So we
having
have them in
public. They're having public Senate hearings in June.
Mm-hmm.
The Biden family. They're bringing in Jill. They're bringing in every member of the cabinet and all of the people who worked in the. That's getting things done, Janet. They're not.
Okay, you
This
just
ain't the
said,
old West. You can't just
you
hang people
just
anymore.
said 5, 10, 15 minutes ago that it doesn't matter because they're not going to, this person's got to talk to that person. This person's got to talk to that person. This person's got to go over that person's head. They got to get this piece of paper signed. They got this, that, and the other. So it's just going to drag on and on and on because they have plausible deniability. So nobody's ever going to be prosecuted for anything. So it doesn't matter how many people they bring up. But look at January 6th, just that. They've got so much evidence proving that they didn't show video, that the whole thing was a setup, the cops were in on it, FBI agents were in on it. They held people.
Janet,
they held people in prison without due process, and nothing's changed. These people lost their jobs, they lost their homes and everything, and not one person that did that stuff has been put in jail, and they never will be, just like most of the chats already said.
All right, let me tell you what they say in those halls. I don't care if you're at Rabin, where the Congress is, or up at Longworth, where the Senate hang out, or if you're, over at the big building, the Cannon, the one with the dome. If they're in trouble and they've broken the law and they hear it's going to subcommittee, they go out and celebrate. And do you know why? Because it is a common thing said in those halls. Subcommittees are where crimes go to die. You got half the people at the questioning are Republicans, half are Democrats. And they're so caught up in their power trip fucking game, they let people get away with crimes by literally just saying the most corrupt, fucked up shit you can imagine to these damn, and they put it in the record. Well, the record is what you have to prosecute people with. And that's how it works.
Well, just like I said a couple of weeks ago, I'll believe it when I see one person arrested and prosecuted for any of this stuff.
You won't, but they're bringing them in front of that subcommittee. Let me tell you what's going to happen in front of the subcommittee.
What happens when they go in before the subcommittee? Do you think any of those people are going to be arrested?
No. And let me tell you what's going to happen in the subcommittee. Marjorie Taylor Greene, just grab a couple of examples. Mm-hmm. Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to rip them a new asshole and call them liars. And then when the Democrats get their chance to talk, they will not ask a single question. They'll attack Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, so that's what they do every time.
Right. That's all you're going to get. But at least Republicans are going to ask tough questions. And just them not answering is enough for us to go, yeah, they did it. I mean, just tell us.
Who cares? They did that all during when Kash Patel and all of them were being interviewed and talked to and asked questions for a position. We already went through all that shit.
Oh, no, if you and just watch any hearing you want in the government.
No, but what I mean is
the same shit show every time.
Same thing every time, but nothing. Who cares? It's their side, blah, 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 our side, blah, blah, blah. That's why no one trusts them. Nobody trusts anything they do because that's all they do is bitch and moan and complain and gripe and say this, that, and the other side's the bad guy, blah, blah, blah. But not one person It doesn't matter how much stacks of evidence they have. Not one person gets arrested or prosecuted for this shit.
Here's
So
the
as long
problem
as
I have
nobody
with
gets
Marjorie
arrested,
Taylor
then
Greene going off. Okay. I love MGT or MTG. I really do. I think she's a great American. However, she's part of the problem because she should be worth about 200, 300 grand. But she's making the same stock trades as fucking Nancy Pelosi right now. Don't look at her fucking whole wealth right now. Her portfolio is in the millions, and she's playing the same game as the bad guys. So the problem that I have is that she's part of the problem. And I do like Marjorie Taylor Greene because she is mostly a constitutionalist, but she sees that there's no penalty for insider trading. There's no penalty for being part of Congress, making laws, putting a company ahead of the others, and then betting on them and reaping rewards ahead of the rest of us finding out about this shit. I love the idea of bringing these people to quote unquote justice, but it'll never happen because the Democrats will get in, or some rhino fucking patsy will get in.
if it's never going to happen, then why should anyone do anything? Why should anybody care? Because nothing's going to change.
Well,
All of
I
this
honestly,
is what
like I typed in the chat, I really hope we have another Jack Ruby.
all of this
Jack
stuff
Ruby.
is supposed to motivate you to get out in your local community and start where it really matters. And because
Yeah, but by the time my grandkids are adults and they're voting and doing stuff, it won't matter because all these people have already gotten away with all the crimes that we have evidence for. Now we got to wait another 50 years to get the evidence of the crimes that are going on when my grandchildren are now adults. So when they're dying and are in the one foot in the grave and the other one slipping, now those crimes are finally coming to light, and maybe their story will come out. Yeah, they were criminals and we proved it in court, but there's nobody left alive to punish. Oh, well, it was just a waste of $1 trillion to take them all to court over it. Nothing changed. That's the same. That's like a bunch of dumb blonde, peroxide blondes going, I don't know, sitting around. It sounds like that's who's running everything. Just a bunch of dumbasses.
Here's the big clue for you. I'm going to give you a big one, right? Mm-hmm. They released everything they had on Kennedy, and we still don't know who killed him, right? And why? No, that's not true. We
already
always
know. CIA.
We've always known who did it and why. Now, here's where the twist in the JFK assassination happens. The lead investigator on that was a man named Gerald Ford. So Gerald Ford became the vice president, or no, I think he was Speaker of the House. That's right, because the vice president, Spiro Agnew, died of a heart attack about 2 weeks before Nixon resigned. So the next chain of command to take the presidency is Gerald Ford as the Speaker of the House. Mm-hmm. And the reason that they wanted to kill him was because he wanted to end the Fed. Now, you hear Trump talking about that nowadays. I laugh all the time about people talking about Republicans. Conservative libertarians, which I think all of us are, took over a completely void and vacant Republican Party. And we would have been the Tea Partiers back from like 2008, 2010, and 12. Because moderate Americans got so sick of all this shit, we tried to take control back. But that's what I'm trying to tell you about. Just think, oh yeah, they're going to release the Kennedy files, blah, blah, blah. You know who knows about the Kennedy homicide? People who knew people involved in it, they know. And they ain't ever going to say shit. I promise you that.
LBJ has been dead for decades.
Yeah.
Well, it's gotten to where we already saw it during the Democrat convention where you pretty much they didn't have a live camera in there that I know of, but they're going to have live cameras showing people getting abortions and, people having sex with kids and people doing whatever they want because there's nobody going to get in trouble for anything. So the only way to keep your children safe is to have your kids never out of your sight. do your schools at home. Raise all your own food. Do not buy anything from anyone else because you can't trust the government. You don't know if it's fake food, what they put in there, what chemicals. You can't even trust the medicine anymore. There's who knows what kind of statin drugs are filled with whatever. You don't know because you're getting it from China. And our government definitely doesn't care what you eat. They don't care what you put on your skin. They don't care what you feed your children. They don't care what your clothes are made out of or anything. All they care about
you.
I mean,
RFK gives a shit about you, Janet. He does because I've watched this guy.
I know he does. I know he does, but he won't be able to do anything, and he's going to die fighting to try to save a few people and to get some laws changed. And what's going to happen is one or two things might change. Well, we'll take red dye out, and we'll take this green dye out. But no, we're going to fight them tooth and nail on the rest because, man, I'm making money on that. And all the same people that say they're fighting for you to be healthier and for you to have more rights are the same people running to buy stocks because Nancy Pelosi bought them. Shit like that. That's the disgust. And all the men that say they give a shit about people taking a knee during the Pledge of Allegiance and that the this, that, and the other matters. I want my son to grow up and have pride in America, but yet they'll still buy tickets and buy NFL clothes and whatever else, even though that those same people that you're buying their products are the ones that were telling your kid to get their dick cut off in the first place. But you guys will still buy their shit. I don't know why. But see, that's what I'm saying. Everybody says rah, rah, rah about all this shit, but yet they just turn around tomorrow and they just go spend the money and buy the same shit because you just don't want to deal with it anymore. I'd rather just go home, put my feet up and watch my football game. See what I mean? That's what this problem is. And that's why none of it's going to get better and nothing's going to change because nobody wants to get off their ass and do it. I don't want to do it. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. I'm not doing it anymore. That's what people's attitudes are. And that's the sad truth about it. And that's why James Comey and all these people just get away with it. It doesn't matter. He can write 86, 87 or whatever the hell he wants on the beach. And if I'd done it, I'd already be in jail. I wouldn't even be able to sit out there and try to do anything. I would already be in jail like the January 6th people were. But they can say and do whatever they want, and they're untouchable, and they can do anything they want to your children, and nothing will happen. It'll be your kid's a liar, you're full of shit, or they'll pay you money and say, shut up, and then you shut up, and you just let them abuse your kid, for the money. It's disgusting. I don't understand why every single parent and every single person that has to pay taxes or anything isn't out every single day posting yelling, screaming at the top of their lungs about this is bullshit. That we're not. Janet,
you're going on and on. Let me just tell you my perspective on this and what I do.
I realize
the Serenity Prayer.
We can do about it.
Basically. I say the Serenity Prayer nonstop. I did it through the Biden administration, and I do it now, right? But the whole time during the Biden administration, the only things that changed were getting worse. Now with Trump in office, I see things that are changing for the better. And I don't expect like this big light to show up in the sky and wash humanity off. Humanity is vile. We're vile. There's 6 genocides going on around the world. I can hardly even give a damn about somebody not having food to eat. Get off your ass and get a job. But people being killed just because of who they are.
And you don't arrest somebody and then have the court unfold like you're seeing with the P. Diddy case or some of these other cases, that guy that killed 4 students in Idaho, and watch it unfold and watch the evidence come out and how they put it together to get this person and the DNA matching and all that stuff so that they can put this person in prison, even though you can't get the people back. You can't save the murdered kids. You can't get back the billions of dollars that's been wasted or the lives that were lost because some jerk off got some money and decided to blow up another country because he got paid off. you know, and it just made it look like they did something they weren't supposed to or whatever, because they had lobbyists or whatever, all the corruption that's going on.
You have a right to plea not guilty for anything.
No,
No matter
I'm not
what
saying
you
they don't.
did,
It
you can
doesn't
plea
matter.
not guilty.
It
It's a
doesn't matter
constitutional right.
because if they have all the courts, already own all of them, and only the people that they don't like are the ones that are going to actually go to prison or go to prison and sit in jail until they get to go to court in 10, 12, 15 years, whenever they decide.
Well,
That's not freedom.
name somebody and what they did and what you think that and how long you think they should go to prison for it.
Well, there's people that were sitting in prison that'd probably still be there for January 6th that never even got to go to court.
I understand that, but it's a two-tier justice system, and it was weaponized by a cabal.
Okay, and they know
coup.
that, right? They know that it was weaponized against these people, and they were
Okay,
set
but what
up.
I'm saying,
Are they going to go to? Are they going to be arrested? No, nothing's going to happen to those people.
Janet, name me a person you have in mind. Name the crime they
James
did.
Comey.
Okay, what's his crime?
I don't know. I wasn't prepared. I didn't pull out all the stuff that they have evidence on against him about things that he did.
Well, how long would you want him to go to jail?
Just tell me. Just shells on the beach.
Okay, but
trying to get his subscribers to 86, 87.
Well,
47, I mean.
Okay, so what do you think his penalty for implying kill the president should be?
Whatever the penalty is on the books that we have right now.
25 to 40 years.
Okay, 25 years. That's what he should get for what he did. Because I would have got it if I did it. That's what I'm trying to say. It should be a fair, even thing. If you do it, then you go to prison. If they do it, they go to prison. If they do it, they go to prison. I don't give a shit who they are. If you broke the law, if you rape a kid, if you rape a woman, if you rob a store, if you knife someone in the street, if you're drinking and driving, if you're smoking weed and driving and hurt people, you should go to court. You should have to be arrested and see what happens. Let the whole thing unfold in court like everybody else would. But
my understanding of when,
and we all get fucked by our government.
My understanding is that when they created the plan for the dossier and the letters that was signed by 51 people, there were 3 people in the Oval Office: James Comey, Peter Strzok, and Barack Obama.
So what? So what difference does it make?
That's a coup. It's a fabricated coup against an elected president. That, my friend, is treason. That act is treason.
Okay. So?
Yeah. Do you think they're ever going to bring that shit up, man?
No, not anymore.
Do you think you could crucify Barack Obama?
After tonight, no, I don't think that any of this stuff matters. Honestly, I'm getting to where I believe that none of this matters. Nothing's going to change. If Dan Bongino and the people they just brought in is already admitting that there's nothing we can do, I mean, pretty much, then there's nothing we can do about any of it.
I don't think that there's nothing they can do about it. They're working on everything. I pay real close attention and I text back and forth with people who are up there. And things are happening. You just can't see them.
If they have a chance to make something happen, how long do you think it's going to take?
It usually takes at least between 18 months and 2 years to get anything done.
Okay. So 2 years from now, they arrest somebody for something that happened 20 years ago or 10 years ago. Okay. And then another 2 years or so goes by to bring it to court. But by that time, we don't have the same person in office, and maybe it's someone else on the left, and they just write a bunch of pardons for the people again. So still nothing happens. So
okay,
why,
so time. Let's talk about the time.
Why should the people of America ever expect any of this to ever come to fruition for any one of them? Because it's already been proven that it's not going to.
Okay, well, check this out, Janet. Let's go back to the time thing a minute and talk about the Fauci case. Those of us who knew everything in 2020. We already knew in 2020, even before they gave the vaccines out, we knew the truth, right?
What's the truth?
Well, just let's do the timeline thing real quick. Now, I and hundreds of other people pushed to get Fauci in front of the Senate or Congress to answer for these allegations. And then 2024, last year, May and June, and we got all of them in there. Every last one of them lied. It was the same shit show of the Republicans, forcing the truth out, and then the Democrats denying that it was true. But now it's 2025, and they are putting together indictments for Fauci. That's one of the things going on behind the scenes. Nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah, but Fauci's been pardoned. You just said that
auto pin?
They're trying to get the auto pin reversed. I told
we don't
you.
have
If
any.
they don't,
We don't have any courts that will take this case, so it doesn't matter, does it?
the biggest deal of all, Janet, just pray for it. Pray for that auto pin to be overturned. The only thing you got to pray for is the auto pin to be overturned. We have all the evidence. We have everything.
Yeah, but they had all the evidence about the dossier. They have all the evidence they need for the January Sixers to prove that none of them
everybody back to 2014.
Any of those
everybody. They pardoned everybody back to 20. Look, all right, this came out this week. Hunter Biden was taking bribes from people to go get their pardons done. And there's even a question that he might have been printing them, filling them out. Now, I don't, they got to prove that, but I believe it would probably be true. What the kid's been doing since he was old enough to can drive a car was selling his dad's.
In Arizona, Katie Hobbs, they proved that Katie Hobbs signed a bunch of fake deeds when she was younger with her mother's name. Okay, that was all in court. All that stuff came out. Did anything happen to Katie Hobbs? She's still governor. So I just don't think it's going to make that much difference. It doesn't matter how much evidence they have if you don't have any courts that are willing to defend the Constitution or uphold the law. Then it doesn't matter how many laws you have or how thick the paper is that the Constitution's written on. If you don't have anyone to back anything, then it doesn't make any difference. If you have nobody that's willing to prosecute anything, right? I mean, honestly, I just don't see it. I want to see it. I tried really hard to believe all of it, but the more I'm seeing, I'm realizing that, if Donald Trump can't do it, I just don't see how it's going to ever get done. Nobody else has stood up in my lifetime that I've ever seen and defied everything. He almost died from being shot. If he hadn't turned his head, he would be dead already. Other people have already just mysteriously died. All these girls are committing suicide that were on Epstein Island. They're running out of people that are going to have evidence. And if the evidence slowly gets burned or torched or disappears or left in Joe Biden's garage or whatever, or it's on a illegal server in Hillary Clinton's bathroom and somebody else can get it, they can say, well, it's been compromised. It's compromised evidence. We can't use it in court. See, they've got all these open doors wide open to fix any case they have to. I just don't see.
Honey, people made a GoFundMe for a man who walked up to an innocent man on the street in New York and gunned him down from behind. And he's a hero.
The same thing with that young man that stabbed another young man in the heart at a football game or a track meet or whatever it was.
Those are heroes to these sick people. They're pathological. You
Yeah,
have
but
to
it doesn't
separate out
matter.
mental illness.
They can have
because
this
these
much
people,
evidence, and if you don't have a court that wants to take the evidence and take them to court and prosecute them, then
let's
do whatever they want.
let's just talk about the function of society, right? If that's what we got running around as citizens, who do you think they're going to elect? Like the local pastor from church or some retired judge that has the best, cleanest record in history? They don't look for good people to elect. They're on the payroll, or they can commit.
Yeah, and
You
they're
can
going
go
to do
bust
it.
windows out
We
of a
got
jewelry
another
store,
election
take
coming up in
thousands of
2026,
dollars,
and they're going to do the same thing. They're going to elect the same people back in office.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about a smash and grab robbery in a really long time. You know, they got the border closed.
On the news.
They got the border
They're still
closed.
walking in and stealing jewelry out of jewelry stores, and other people are just going in and taking stuff still. People are still robbing places. People are still killing people. People are still raping people. There's still all that stuff still happening. You're just not seeing it because the news doesn't want to report it because there's no reason to.
Yeah, I know, but let's go back just 1 second to what it means to elect somebody and what they can do once elected. So Barack Obama wrote a book when he was younger, Dreams of My Father. And in that book, he said, if the political tides ever change, I will always side with my Muslim brothers. He got elected and literally flipped our entire military operation from being a pro-Israel, anti-terrorism to joining the terrorists.
It paid
to
off for him.
funding Iran, to doing all that stuff. That he totally had that legal right to do that. He's the commander in chief. What if we get a Chinese elected person? Fuck that.
We probably will. We'll probably have
an honest to
our
God
next
real
election, we'll
Muslim
probably have all
elected?
Muslims in the White House.
Fuck that. I mean, there's people in Africa co-signing genocide of white people right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if we got a South African American came here and they felt the same way? People put Hitler in power.
What if that in the next election we have that? I mean, what are people going to do? There is no courts that's going to stand behind us.
I'm not a what if person. I'm not a what if person. I get out there and put my foot up people's ass and say, this is what we want. And I travel to 47 states a year and talk to people in airports and in Starbucks and
77 million people voted for Donald Trump to do what he was trying to do. And he's had to pretty much do it all on executive orders. And all I'm hearing is, well, he's acting like a king. He's not acting like a president. He's forcing executive orders.
No, he's doing what the American people asked him to do.
I know, but he shouldn't have to do it by himself. We should have a Congress that supports him and tries to make those things into law. But yet,
Congress
not doing it.
Janet, Congress is a body right now. Think about how fucked up the Democrat Party is. The crazy shit they say. They can't get a legitimate leader. Okay, that's the way the body of Congress is.
I know, but so when is it going to get better?
Shit about each other. They hate each other's guts.
You didn't hear what I said?
What?
I said, so when's it going to get better to where we don't have the Democrats in control of Congress?
When another 100,000 people start doing what me and Laura Loomer
and where are they going to come from?
And Scott, Pressing and all these other people. It's you. You have to get out and do it. You got to go to
I've been doing it since before I even had a YouTube channel.
Okay, so I mean, you know what the deal is. Then you know what the deal is. It's a fight. They're not going to lay down, and it's a fight. They fucking hate us. They hate us.
I know.
Okay, so what? That's the way life is. I mean, men like sports, right? We want to get out and knock the shit out of somebody and steal a ball and get a touchdown and stick our finger in their face when we beat them. That's what's going to make us winners as the people in America, is when we take charge of those servants in Washington, D.C., who, somehow They just don't see that word serve the American people. They serve each other. They're as bankrupt spiritually, morally, and mentally as the Democrat Party. And it's all because of the finger pointing, the blaming, the bitching, and nobody doing anything about solutions. And that's just the bottom line. I mean, and I know you're venting, and I totally get venting, but I don't really vent about
I'm
shit.
just trying
I'm
to
that
I'm
guy
trying
looking
to
for the facts.
find an answer. I mean, if we can't even arrest a single person with all the evidence that we already have,
I don't think can't is the right word. You know, at best, can't's not the right word. It might be won't, but I like to think of it as we
okay,
haven't yet,
okay.
based on the
I'll just
building
say
of
this.
facts.
I'll just say this then. If not one person is going to be arrested before the next election, and not one person is going to be going towards court with all the evidence for whatever the crime was.
Why don't you meet me in Washington, and I'll walk you through Congress to all the
I don't have
offices
to
that
walk
I
through
know
it.
I
I
can
see it
walk.
on TV, and I don't see him doing very much.
I'm telling you, we can go there and talk to some of these people. They're just people like us, and
Yeah,
you
but
can
what
tell
good's that
them this.
going to
Say,
do?
look, motherfucker, I don't feel
What
safe.
good is that going to do?
Because that is
I don't have
politics.
money. I can't pay them and make them give the money back to the person they already took money from to make sure they're voting the way or doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Politics is a Greek word that means the power of people. And you have as much power as you're willing to take. Nobody is going to give it to you. That's the law of the land. I don't care if it's in business,
I can't
at the dinner table, or
sit
none
in
of
front
that.
of Congress every single day and pass out flyers and say, please pray and do what's supposed to be doing for the American people. The American people just want righteousness. We want to see somebody be arrested for all these crimes. We want to see justice for the American taxpayer, and see some of these people be arrested. What good is that going to do? It's not going to sway one person. If they're not already there trying to fight for us and make a difference, then one little person like me standing there isn't going to make a difference.
That's not true at all. And let me explain why. Because let's say I go to Anna Paula Luna's office, right?
Mm-hmm.
I knock on the door. I don't boldly say I want to talk to her. I say, is there a staffer that I could ask a few questions and get some things cleared up and try to understand?
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, that's your constitutional right. And if you're a decent person, they kind of like it when you come. And in those conversations, if you have good ideas, workable solutions, that staffer will tell that to the representative, and then that's when the representative will get you if you're really lucky, a 10-minute meeting, but most of them are 5, and they see hundreds of people every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't state your whole piece in 5 minutes, you wasted your time and theirs. And so refining what you believe, refining what you want, getting real concise with your communication, and sharing good ideas.
What difference is that going to make? Because
if you do that 2 years, you can run for that office the next time there's an election.
Yeah, but that's
if you
2
don't
years
agree
from
with
now.
what's going on,
That's
if you
2 years
don't
from
agree,
now. What's going to happen from now and from 2 years from now? That's what I'm wanting to know. I don't have time to run for office in 2 years for anything to happen. President Trump has already handed out all the evidence that they need. He's already said how to do things, what you need to do, and how to do it. That's why all the people that voted for Trump, that both times, have already said that's why they voted for him, because they know that he's doing what he can to try to help our country. Okay. And
he's getting blocked by corrupt judges that take Soros.
So that's exactly what I'm trying to say. So how does someone like me standing and talking to one representative going to make a difference when it comes to all the people that are blocking people?
Well, I mean, it sounds to me like your emotion is based on the fact that you want to know things or understand things that don't make sense. And the way to solve that problem is you go directly to the source.
No, I
and
already
talk to them.
know. I already have an answer. I already understand that they're not going to arrest anyone because
That's not true. I don't
too
believe
many.
that's true. I don't think that's a true statement at all. I think it's a statement made out of impatience, and I understand everybody's frustrated, but I refuse to believe that nobody is going to be charged with
So,
crimes
okay,
over the last
if
5
they
years.
are going to charge anyone, when do you think they're going to charge someone?
As
What
soon as
time
they
frame? The
have
next
the
20
evidence,
years?
as soon as they have the evidence put together to prosecute these people. Because what would even piss the American people off worst of all is that they got all the evidence and didn't present it right, lose the case, the person gets off scot-free, and then you find out it's because they fucked it up rushing it. These matters
Yeah,
are
I said that.
complicated.
I've said that before on my show. I've already said that before multiple times. But the thing is,
I know you're fired up tonight, man.
I know I am.
That's
I'm
Saturn
upset.
alignment.
I'm upset because I don't understand why just one person out of all the stuff they've had since the first time Trump ran for office can't be arrested for the crimes that they've committed. I can't understand why one person that was involved in all the lying and hiding the videos and all that stuff just for January 6th hasn't been arrested. I mean, there's tons of evidence already.
They
Why can't they
pardoned them
arrest
all.
one
Oh
person?
my God, they pardoned every one of them. 1,500 pardons. That's basically every single person in Biden's whole administration.
So you're
and
telling
they threw
me,
a couple of
so
like
you're trying to
serial
tell me
killers
that
and drug
not
dealers
one
in there.
person that was involved in holding those people in jail in Washington, D.C., not one person is left that hasn't been pardoned, that had anything to do with illegally putting those people in, holding them without due process.
Well, okay, so here's where plausible
plausible
deniability. Here's a perfect
Okay,
example
well,
of it.
that's what I'm trying. Now, see what you just
Chris
said.
Ray,
Who are they going to arrest?
orders the FBI.
See, they can't arrest anyone. That's exactly what I just said, and you said I was wrong. But
No, that is not what I said. What I said is there are a few steps that we have to go through in order to get that done. And the biggest one of all is to reverse the auto pin. Well, okay, so what does that mean?
No, I understand.
We got to find out
who's going to do it.
We got to find
court?
out who knew what when.
Yeah, but
well,
what
on June, in about 10 days, they're going to have a public televised hearing, and we're going to find out who knew what when. Now, if there's enough, evidence that makes it look like, well, y'all signed all those pardons. Did he know about them? Did he ever see them? Then you got to get to the details of it, right? And once you get to the details of it, did he see them? He was the president. If they can prove that he looked at those, if they got video of him shuffling through those, which we know they don't, he was with Trump all day when they were stamped. But you got to find the person. You have to find the person that did this.
All they have to do is set Biden down and ask him some questions. Did you know that this person was
June
part?
10th.
And then he'll
June
say, yes.
10th.
I told him to put my signature on those documents. That's all he's got to say. And guess what? It's over.
That's not true either.
Okay, we'll see. It won't be long, will it? It's what, in a couple weeks?
Yeah, I think they got a lot more on those people than you're giving them credit for.
Well, I'm just saying,
they're
is it in a
tacticians.
couple of weeks that they're going to do this, supposedly?
I mean, okay, the director of national intelligence, he's from California. He was a congressman from California. He's the one who was telling the public the truth about the Russian hoax. Well, Kash Patel was his investigator in that.
Mm-hmm.
And Kash Patel put all that information together, and people did go to jail over that. So I trust his experience. He's proven himself. I mean, sometimes you just have to
Good,
trust
but
people and trust the process.
there's the other problem right now that we have a foaming public, which is screaming Epstein list. And are they going to let Kash Patel and Dan Bongino reveal it? That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are going to do it, and I mean, in that same interview that you brought up, he talked in detail about what they were doing with all that evidence, and I think one of the biggest issues they have is that a lot of names on that list are the minors who were being molested, and they've got to protect the families and all of them for that. So then people are going to see a redacted one and go, oh, what's this? It's like, it's a federal violation to ever put anyone under the age of 18 in any form of media. Totally against the law. Unless you have signed releases, and man, to
I know
get those.
we already heard Pam Bondi say that they will not release any of the victims' names or people that were just working or weren't involved in any of the.
I know, but when they released the damn flight logs, those were the names that were blacked out, and everybody was accusing them of hiding the names of government officials.
I know
and all this
it's
shit.
not going to matter. It's not going to matter when they release any of the names or what they did or anything. There's still going to be people bitching and moaning that that's not the people they want to see names on the list. And and that's what I talked about weeks and weeks ago when we talked about it on the show. That
Man, we all lived through O.J. Simpson walking out of a courtroom acquitted. We all lived through that. Bad things happen. I'm just trying to be more hopeful and give them a little bit of time. I mean, it's a presidency.
That's exactly what I said. I said when they get the stuff that they will release what they're allowed to, that won't interfere with prosecuting people that did commit crime.
You can't if okay, so if you publicly release evidence against somebody in any ongoing case, they can have it thrown out because of tampering.
Yes, I know. I already talked about all that. Because
I
said, so if Hillary Clinton was providing girls for the island or whatever she was doing that was illegal, and she ends up making a plea deal with them not to prosecute her for her part, and she gives names like, crap on her husband or some other people that she has evidence for, she might not even get a slap on the wrist because she provided them with the things that they needed, and people aren't going to be happy with that. You can never make everybody happy. It's impossible. That's
true. That's true.
I mean, that's reality, but that's, to me, I understand that. But the fact that we had two people that went to court, were prosecuted for having a bunch of young girls on planes on an island and at his New York house, providing young girls to rich people for sexual favors and massages or whatever else other perverted, freaky stuff they had them do, that went to prison for these crimes, but not one person that they sold the girls to has been arrested. I
know, but think about the Brady Bunch. There was pedophilia going on that movie set, and it was between a grown man and a teenage male actor. They didn't do a damn thing about that. Nothing.
That's not the same thing, what I'm talking about.
I think that a lot of what we're talking about is the same thing. The mentality of this TV set and everybody that's
what I'm talking about, what I've been talking about to this whole thing is the judicial system that we have right now when it comes to prosecuting people at a federal level. Okay, there's so much corruption that they're never going to pass down any sentences to anyone except the people they want to see fry. Now, if Trump had ever went in, he would have served, who knows what, they probably would have gave him the death penalty for all I know. But what I'm saying is, if I had done something in a broke a federal law, I don't know what I'd have to do to break a federal law, so I can't say anything, really pick something out. But if I'd done it because I'm just Joe Blow American taxpayer, I'd be swift and fast. I mean, I'd go to court or I'd be arrested. I'd have to put my bond up or whatever, how they do it really quickly. And within a year, I would already be in prison. Okay. But because these people are congressmen, senators, or Hillary Clinton, or whoever, they just drag until finally they just say, oh, well, it's taken so long. And now we got a new administration, and they just pardon everyone. It's over with. So nothing ever happens. And that's what I'm trying to say. Why is not the swiftness of court for the federal government like it's supposed to be in the lower courts? I know they have to get
I saw
evidence
General
together.
Flynn.
Do what?
General Flynn sent a message to Ron Johnson today, who's the chairman of the Senate COVID hearings.
Mm-hmm.
And in his tweet to Senator Johnson, General Flynn said this exact words: What are y'all gonna do? I've been watching your hearings. I haven't missed 1 minute, and this is absolutely first-degree manslaughter. They planned it. Now, when you start getting people at that level that are willing to make a public statement like that to a very powerful senator, it'll start coming out in the narrative. That's the other thing about all of this, convict somebody and all of this other stuff. And that's kind of why I brought up that Mangione kid, right? And you have to sway public opinion in the narrative and, put the evidence in a way that, oh my God, he did it and all this. And even then there's going to be people that have love affairs with inmates and shit. They're killed 5 people and some girl starts writing them letters, and the next thing you know, she's in love with them and marries them. I mean, we live in a really weird world. I would say this about anybody being arrested: if it's God's will for those people to be punished, nobody is going to stop it. And if it's not God's will for those people to be punished, there ain't a damn thing you can do to get them punished. And I'll revert to the words in Job where God said, I created the wicked for the day of judgment. And this country got in a place where it needed to be judged. And if those were the wicked people he sent to slap this country into reality, then I don't give a shit, because he runs the universe, not me. And this country needed a wake-up call. It took everybody forever to wake up. It was like they were drunk and couldn't get out of bed, and all this shit was going on, like the kids running around while you're hung over in bed making a mess everywhere, and you just don't give a shit to go see about cleaning it up. That's what happened to America, Janet. I believe that.
Yeah, but who's going to clean it up?
We have to clean it up.
Sanitation boy.
Well, I'm not going to finish the rest of this. I already shared it in the chat, so I'm going to take that one down. So you guys ready to move on? I think I beat that to a dead horse.
Exactly. What other discussion can we get into a brawl about? Are you not entertained, Emperor?
I think he probably fell asleep. He was probably bored to death.
Fucking.
I love spirited debate. I think it's healthy and good.
It's just frustrating to me that it's not equal.
You know what's equal? A wood chipper. Makes everybody equal. Feet going one way, the other.
Well, here is one of the articles that I thought was important. I'm just going to share this in the chat so people can go read it. But one of the things that I've been saying about the reason they went after Trump so much like animals, basically, the left wise, is that in California, in New York, Colorado, I'm trying to think of the other state, Arizona, all of these states were going for Donald Trump's jugular vein, basically, because they were all so corrupt. They had so many different things going on, like this right here. It says the Southern District of New York, a USDA employee and 5 others charged in multi-million-dollar food stamp fraud and bribery scheme. Okay. And what is funny is, because you've been seeing, if you've been watching, you have to get online and look it up, because you're not going to see it on mainstream media, that Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, and all them arresting all these people for all these different crimes, drugs, money laundering, this thing right here that we're talking about, things like that are coming out. But look at that. That's multi-million dollars of money scams. Okay. And there's tons of these scams in New York, Arizona, Colorado, California, in multiple states. This kind of stuff's going on. But they knew if Trump got in, that the pressure would be on about whether or not they could keep it running. And the money, where's the money going to go? You know what I mean? That type of stuff. So that was one reason why they didn't want him to be president. And another reason why they wanted to prosecute him with all these different, trumped up whatever charges or whatever, to take him to court. And to drain his bank account, to raid his house, all the different things that we're trying to do just to find anything. He's trying to find any evidence, anything they could use against him in court. And it didn't work so far. Thank goodness, because we had enough lawful people still in office in these places. So they haven't completely corrupted. That's what I'm saying. I know that there's good people in the FBI. I know there's good people in the CIA. I know there's good people in sheriff's departments, police departments, all over the United States, even in these corrupt states, that not every single cop is corrupt. Not every single person is corrupt. But, there's so much of it that it's we can't prosecute people, because we cannot prosecute all these people with so many corrupt judges and lawyers and stuff in the positions that we need to be fair, and accurate, to make sure the right people get the right amount of time. If you have a corrupt judge that, there was a couple little things that I showed on the show talking about that one guy that was arrested for the pedophile. He had 1,400 images of children with animals and other things, that was perverted and disgusting. And there was 9 charges against him. And then he went before that one judge, and the judge said time served on this, that, and the other. And they threw out some of the cases. So he only had 1 case against him left out of the 9 that he was being charged with. And he'd already been in court for, a week or whatever. And the judge said he'd get 1 day in jail.
Yeah, I saw that. It made me
remember
sick.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
So until we can get rid of those judges, we're never going to get justice. The only people that those judges are going to prosecute are people like me and you, ones that have been fighting for the truth and for freedom for everyone, for us to not have to pay, so many taxes that we're all bankrupt, basically, that kind of shit. So, and the only way it's going to make any changes is when we get these people out. But how do you get them out?
I fight them with sarcasm and
how do you get rid of these people so that we can have clean courts? And we got to do it before Trump's out of office.
Like the dumbasses they are.
But see, the thing is, if we only have 2.5 years time to prosecute these people and get it going and clean up our courts and all that stuff in this short amount of time before time runs out, because then it's going to be a whole new people in there, and it may not be our side. It maybe people will be fed up enough to start voting for the liberals again, saying fuck it, who gives a shit, or just not go, because nobody was arrested, nobody was prosecuted. And I'm telling you, each day that goes by, and by the end of this year, if somebody hasn't been prosecuted for some of this shit, people are going to say, fuck it, I ain't going to go vote again. I'm an ass, okay? I'm ornery. I'm ornery and I'm stubborn, just like my mother, and I admit that. But that's what I might get mad and vent, but I still believe in exactly what I say week after week after week after week, and I still get up and I still want to fight for my country, because I love my country. I feel for all the veterans who sacrifice life and limb to give me the freedom to be able to own a house, to be able to have a job, to be able to have children, and have a gun, go fishing, do all the things that I'm able to do, compared to other countries that don't have those rights. And I want my children to have those same rights, and then one day my grandchildren, and then their grandchildren, that type of thing. And I think that's what we all want. But how are we ever going to get there if we can't even get a single person arrested that we know there's a buttload of evidence against, because our corrupt judges won't prosecute? You know, how are we?
Janet is your friend. You know, I want to say this. You could be saying what you're saying right now at a campaign event. And people would stand behind you and get behind you, right?
Yes, and I have done it.
It's like you're having one of those deep spiritual callings to get into politics, and you're just not taking the move. I mean, if being in politics would probably make you happy as hell, because that's what they do. They bitch and argue and raise hell.
I have a house that I need to run. I have family that I need to take care of.
You could give Marjorie Taylor Greene a run for her money. I
know, but I do it in different ways. You know, like I helped with our governor when she was running. You know, I did a couple of things for her. I do stuff like that, or I get people to work the polls, or I go and I get signatures. I do stuff like that. So I do help, but I'm behind the scenes because I don't have to be out in front. See, because to me, it doesn't matter as long as somebody's doing it, and that's how I do what I feel is right. And I still have to go home, you know, mow my yard, take care of my animals, take care of my house, take care of my family, things like that. That kind of stuff's important. So, and all of us have that. We all have to take care of our families. So, we all have to do our part to the best of our ability. But if we don't have something out there to prove that any of this that we're doing is making a difference, people are going to start saying, why am I doing it? Nobody's gonna get prosecuted. Nobody's gonna care. You know, I quit. They're gonna say, I just fuck it. I don't want to do it anymore. I'll just sell all my shit and I'll move to another country and not worry about it anymore. That's what a lot of people are saying. They're getting frustrated. And a lot of young people that are in their 20s are saying, you know, I'm never going to ever have a house. I'm never going to be able to do this or that or have a family and stuff, simply because I can't afford it. And because of my point of view of being a conservative, I've already got a target on my forehead. That's how they feel.
But all of you, there's so many of you Gen Xers, man, that talk this way. Y'all are taking the bull by the horns, right? It's y'all. Y'all's generation is the ones who went, what the fuck? My parents didn't have to live like this, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna. Right? Well, that's what it takes. It takes a fight. Mm-hmm. And it's your generation, Generation X. Y'all are doing it. My sons are this way. My daughter's this way. They're all very, very vocally active and are concerned about the state of the political affairs. You know, and I think that's really great. We think about my generation, right? I'm not quite a baby boomer. Depends on who decides, you know, when the year ends, right? But I'm just that post-baby boomer, right? And then there's not even a name for the next 8 years in generations. It's like we're the lost generation. There
Mhm.
are people in Congress right now that got in Congress when I was in high school or college at least, right? That is sickening. Like Chuck Schumer. Get the fuck out, right? We have to be more like, man, my generation, we tried to do it and they censored us and they pushed us back. And you would go to college, and if you didn't suck their ass and buy into all their sick ideology, they would fail you. It didn't have anything to do with how smart you are or how your work was. They would literally fail you because you wouldn't buy into their damn bullshit. Liberal arts colleges, give me a break. No, we've been going through the shit we've been going through for a long time. And finally, we got a generation ready to fight, and I love you guys for it. You know, I'm
Well,
just, I'm a hippie generation, dude.
well,
I'm
the
like,
thing
I
is,
don't want to fight about
a
nothing.
lot of us want to fight, but a lot of us have families, a lot of us have jobs, a lot of us have other responsibilities that don't let us fight 24/7. And honestly, I don't think, and I think that the people that are on the corrupt side know that we don't have 24 hours a day to keep fighting, that we can only put in a certain amount of hours to fight, and they're getting paid to do it. So their job is to do what they're doing, to make more and more corruption, to get on school boards and to run for sheriff and do all these things, and they're already corrupt to keep me and you from being able to be any more involved than we are. See, that's how they win. And that's why they were so upset when Doge came in. But it won't make any difference, because now that Doge is out and people are already not talking about it as much, and if Congress doesn't make any of that stuff that they did to clean up Doge, Doge did to clean up stuff, then they don't make it permanent, then it doesn't matter. The next person in office is just going to start cranking out the money for whoever they want to give it to. That's why when, who was it? One of our presidents tried to get rid of lobbying, and they were told, fuck you, we're going to do it anyway. So there you go. I mean, we can't do anything. We have no say
It's
in
a
anything.
bitch living in a free country, isn't it?
Well, the thing, it is, especially when we know it's corrupt. You know, but the thing is,
Yeah,
we
it
don't
is
have,
what it is, man.
if you don't have judges that will prosecute for the corruption, then nothing's going to change. It's never going to get any better than what it is right now. It's going to be like, just like Arizona, Colorado, California, and New York, and Minnesota, and all those states. That's what it's going to be like in every state. I mean, heck, Texas is like being overrun right now. I mean, they are purple. And
Yeah, well,
I don't
what
know if
they
they're going
want
to
us
make
to
it.
be, what they want us to be is they want us to be like those little like rural areas in Pakistan and Bangladesh and India and fucking
It doesn't
Thailand,
matter because it's working.
and they just have the like rain ditches on the road. And if you got to take a dump, you pull the sheet up you got draped over you, take a dump in it, and you don't even wipe. Look at San Francisco, where they normalize human shitting in the sewer holes.
Mm-hmm.
They normalized it. They wanted us to live like that. Now we have somebody
They
in the White
don't.
House that wants to have gold fixtures in public bathrooms. I mean, you're going to have give and go and come and go and give and take, and all of that stuff is always going to be the case. Right now, we got 4 years that we can sit back and know that the man we elected is fighting for us. We don't have to be in the fight.
Yeah, and he can fight and fight and fight until he falls over. But if we don't have any courts or judges and stuff, it doesn't matter what he does.
And then
Nothing's
whenever
gonna
the
change.
next administration that you don't like gets in, like the Biden, just, if you don't have to do shit.
I don't have to do.
You don't have to
Well,
be
he won't
involved
be
in the
able to do
fight.
anything because I'll be arrested, because they own the courts. See, that's the problem. And if we
I'm
don't
not.
clean the courts out while we have a president that and a group of people that should be able to help clean it out, then it's not going to matter.
I'll never buy into that, because I promise you, if you've ever seen hooligans at a football game, a soccer game in Europe, when they get pissed off, man, and they start moving in one direction, people die.
Yeah.
I mean, we got that. There's less than 0.1% of America runs this country. And if we all really one day got sick and tired of it, French Revolution tired of it, we would wipe them out. It wouldn't even be fun. People would want to be able to see some of these beheadings and hangings and all this shit, and people wouldn't even be able to get in there and get a look. That's the reality of humans. We are brutal people.
Care, Mac.
We are brutal people. And whenever we get French Revolution pissed off, man, and the mayhem starts, then it'll just be another one of those things that history looks back at and go, damn, you should never do that. And guess what? Somebody else will do it. I mean, it's just the way life is.
I want to go ahead and go to this next thing that I pulled up earlier today. I think is pretty good. So here we go. Listen to this.
The question for you is, so over the weekend,
did somebody say something?
Yeah, I'm going to probably have to call. I'm starting to get fatigued. I didn't sleep today from 2 a.m. on, and been here listening to this and getting kind of pissed off. But
okay, I'm sorry.
Hey, you're fine. You and Chris, chat. Everybody have a great evening. I need to go.
You have a good night and get some sleep.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Good night, Bruce.
Night.
Good night. Here we go.
President Trump posted Truth Social a video highlighting what most people call the Clinton body count, which is the strange number of suicides that seem to happen in Clinton circles. I have a headline here from the Washington Post that said, Trump peddles false conspiracy theories tying the Clintons to several deaths. So I just wanted to highlight real quick, this wasn't in Trump's video, but this is from the Arkansas Times. And it's the death of Mark Middleton, who was a former Clinton White House aide who was found dead on a Clinton Foundation property. And I'll just quote from the Arkansas Times. Middleton apparently shot himself in the chest with a shotgun and also hung himself from a tree with an extension cord. So I have no idea how somebody commits suicide that way, but if the Washington Post is here, maybe you can enlighten us as to how that was actually a suicide. So anyways, that's just a lead into my question about the most famous Clinton-related suicide, which is that of Jeffrey Epstein. There's still a lot of questions around that case. You've released phase 1 of the Epstein files. What was missing from that is any connection to his ties to intelligence agencies. And that's really the whole story, that not just trafficking young girls, but doing it on behalf of intelligence agencies and even potentially as part of a blackmail ring with potential ties to the Israeli government. So for phase 2, when can we expect it? Will it have information pertaining to those aspects of the Epstein case?
I know the Attorney General has committed to releasing those files. I would defer you to the Department of Justice on her timeline, but when she has made a promise in the past, she has kept it, and I'm certain that she will in this case as well.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, the way that he calmly explained someone's suicide, supposedly, shooting themselves in the chest and then hanging themselves with an extension cord. So it is, because I remember years ago, my mom had a poster hanging on her bedroom door, on the back of the bedroom door, and it was supposedly all the people that the Clintons had offed or whatever, because it was all these people that worked for the Clintons for many, many years, and all the suicides and the accidents that happened to all these people that were dead. I wish I still had that. I wish I could had that poster now. I don't know what happened to it, but yeah, I was just wondering what your thoughts were on what that reporter just was saying. What do you think about the way he talked about that? Because, you know, I thought when Trump put that out, basically he was kind of like, it was like a joke, you know what I mean? But when you really think about it, it really isn't a joke, because a lot of people have died that have anything to do with the Clintons.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that what I heard Cash Patel say about looking at all the evidence on Epstein's death, that it can't be anything but suicide. And you got the best forensic, investigators in the entire world looking at it all and helping him. So I agree with that. But he didn't say a word about the Intel connection. And I'm pretty sure that documents were exposed that showed elicited extortion in votes and a couple of property deals and some contracts
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff
one of
like
the
that.
reasons why I've said this whole thing about the Diddy case. After they raided his home with Homeland Security, remember when I said I don't know if you were watching the show, but I was really surprised that Homeland Security was some of the people that went into both his homes at the same time when they raided P. Diddy's homes. And I was like, he must have either said or did the wrong thing to someone, or they need a scapegoat. Because if they need somebody to take the blame or take the fall, that's what happens. They throw certain people under the bus to take the bullseye off of someone else. See what I mean? So, and I still believe that. Okay. But if they prosecute this person in the way that they've laid it out, I've been trying as much as I can to watch as much as I can too of the interviews and stuff of the people after they leave the courthouse, and then the interviews of the people that are sitting in court watching it and in talking about the testimony they've seen, things like that. And man, it seems like they've got quite a bit of good juicy stuff against P. Diddy on using blackmail, different things to coerce people into doing what they're told. Because, to have total control over other people in all different aspects, all the way down to just being a prostitute that was hired and then made to feel like their life was in danger if they didn't do what they were told, basically those type of things, even though they're just a lowly person that's getting paid to have sex with a certain person or whatever. So I think if once this comes out, all of this court for the P. Diddy case, with the way they're laying it out with the racketeering and some other things, I don't know every detail about the actual charges against him, but the way they're laying it out to me sounds a lot like some of the stories that I've heard from some of the women that testified after they went to court to get Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell put in prison, right? About the way they felt after they left, when they were actually able to get away from them, how they felt. They felt like they couldn't say anything or do anything, or they would die. Basically, the fear was in them that if their families would die or someone would be murdered, things like that. So I'm hoping if people are paying attention to the Diddy case, that they will help them be more observant and want to pay more attention when the Epstein stuff comes out, so that they can connect the dots. Like you see if you watch a court case and how the prosecution lays out their case and through the questioning of the witnesses and things like that, and then putting in the evidence, the documents or videotapes or whatever, DNA, whatever it is they have. I'm hoping that people will be able to absorb the information and realize that this is real stuff, that these people higher up, so whoever it is, were using Epstein and his underlings or whatever to extort from people. Say, we have this video of you doing this, that, and the other, and if you don't do this other video to help us compromise this person, you see what I mean, to get more people under there, then we're going to expose your other video that we have of you. That type of thing. And that's what they're doing right now with the Diddy case. And I'm hoping that helps. So we'll see if that makes a difference. But I think that once that's out, I think it will help. But what do you think about it? Have you watched any of the stuff that's been coming out with the Diddy case?
Yeah, I've been paying real close attention, but there's a lot of things being sensationalized by clickbaiters.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, yeah,
then
that's going to
like,
happen in everything.
yeah, but you can actually find interviews with people who are in the courtroom hearing the actual what's going on in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, what they're trying to make it sound like in the clickbaiters and what they're coming up with in the court are two very different things. I kind of like eyewitness things, not computer voice generated.
Well, there is a lot of fake stuff out there too. So you have to be real careful, because I had a couple people I was talking to that were saying, I saw this testimony supposedly of this, that, and the other. I'm not going to say who it was or anything. And I said, well, I looked everywhere on the internet trying to find out more information about what you told me, you heard or you saw or whatever. And there isn't anything, because I'm trying to stay with court TV. Sorry. I'm yawning. I'm so tired. I got up at 4:30 this morning of trying to see if I could find out what they were telling me was real evidence and that was actually in the transcripts from the court, but it wasn't. So that's the sad truth, is that a lot of people are being misled because they're jumping from this platform to another platform to another platform, trying to get as much information as they can. And a lot of it's fake. It's just clickbait, like you were talking about earlier. So that's what's going to make it hard too, is separating out the facts from the fiction. And that's why I added that one little video at the beginning, to try to, if people would just step back and not share something because it came across your timeline in Facebook or whatever, and you read the headline, right? And you think, oh, this is a good article for that. And then you share it, but there really isn't. It doesn't really say anything about what's in the headline. See, they do that sometimes just to get you to click on it or to share it so that that person gets more views or whatever else. And it's important that you try to read it and share it that way. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody wants to take the time out to do it that way. So it makes it tough. But yeah, literal fake news. That's exactly true. And there's a lot of it. And to me, makes it really hard. It takes a lot more time to go through and read and try to go back and say, hey, have you seen this anywhere else? And they'll say, I've never heard of it. So you got to go, try to be as responsible as you can, especially when it comes to the Epstein stuff, because these were young women, young women that were lied to and basically imprisoned, and made to feel like they had no other option but to perform for these people, right? Until they could get away. And some of them, once they got away, they never went back. They just said no, because a lot of people don't realize when it comes to rape and things like that, a lot of victims never say anything because they just want to pretend like it never happened. They try to just go on with their lives and don't say anything, and they feel like it's their fault if they hadn't done something. They did something wrong, or they wouldn't have been in that position. So there's just a lot of things that it's hard for people that aren't involved in those things to understand what that person is going through mentally. Like a lot of people make fun of women that are in abusive relationships, and they're being abused by the male by either slapping them around or degrading them or whatever it is. And they like, why is she so stupid to stay with him? That's all they think. Why doesn't she leave? He goes to work, she should pack her stuff and leave. Well, a lot of them are intimidated and afraid if they leave, well, who knows what will happen to their family, or that he will kill them this time instead of just beat them up, that kind of thing. And I hate to say it, but there's a lot of men that murder their wives or their girlfriends. So it does happen. And all you got to do is look that up and you realize, well, it's not as easy to get away from these people as you think it is. And a lot of them are killed when there's a restraining order on them. So, and it's too late then. Yeah, you can prosecute them and stuff, but the person's dead. So we got to come up with other ways to be able to fix some of these things. But let's see. I'm trying to remember what some of these other ones are real quick. Oh, this one's pretty good. I thought this was a good one. Let me present this one. I don't know if you've seen this or not. Right here. Okay. I can't remember what this guy's name is, but he did really good when he did this interview of this one guy, because you were talking about on the Hill, they're doing a lot of interviews with all these people trying to get to the truth.
Yeah.
So here we go.
How many illegal immigrants being deported by the new administration would you find objectionable? Mr. Melnick, I'll ask you, 1 million?
I think 1 million would be a disaster.
2 million?
Again, considering we're talking about law-abiding people who've been here for decades, I think that is enough that would have severe negative ramifications for the United States.
I'm not reading what Trump intends to do. I'm reading exactly what President Barack Obama did when he came into office and deported nearly 5 million people. So you said President Obama was immoral and inappropriate to deport those million people. Is that what I heard you say?
There were many people
it's a yes, no question. I would really appreciate it to say, if you would go out on social media and say that the President Obama did a horrible disservice to those people he deported, and he's as wrong-minded as every other Republican who said we've got to secure the border, deport people, because you can't have one being okay and the other one not being okay.
I thought that was a pretty clever way of getting his point across, using basically the same techniques that the liberals use on us all the time.
Yeah, I had never heard that questioning right there, but I've seen that guy that was
doing the
answering the guy being interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him in a lot of hearings, and he is a disgusting piece of shit.
But the thing is, why can't we start using tactics like the one he just did to get to the bottom of things and not have to have it take years to get the information we need to actually do anything? See, that's another thing I don't understand. Like Senator Kennedy, I really like him from Louisiana, right? I love the way he handles himself. I love the way he's just himself. And a lot of people don't like him because of that. Same thing they don't like about Trump. Trump is bold and obnoxious sometimes. And a lot of people hate that about him. And that's one reason why they think that it's so easy to not like him, is because they don't like his boasteriness, how he's in your face, and says how it is or whatever. A lot of people hate that about him. But if we start doing exactly what this gentleman did to get the information, like this guy, let's say he does the one where he's over there talking to these two people, Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's wife, and a few of these other people they're going to interview. If we have people like that asking the questions, I think we'd get the information we want a lot quicker than these people that just go to hem-haw around and it's like, well, it's disgusting, and it's sad to think that our taxpayers are paying these salaries for these people to just basically just sit there and just kind of act like, we have 20 more years before we have to worry about this because it's not going to matter, and that's the attitude that I see a lot of these people have. And that's why it's frustrating, because we know we have a limited amount of time to get something done, to make some changes. But,
You want to hear what this week's more of the same bullshit thing. So I did the math, and the big, beautiful budget adds $3.6 trillion to the deficit, right?
Yep. I remember him saying that.
All right. If you divide that by the 120 million Americans who go to work every day, That comes out to $18,750 per working American who has to pay that back, right? Through taxes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they're going to take that money and give it to their friends to start businesses and do grants and come up with more deadly vaccines and all this other stuff. They haven't learned a damn thing. They have not learned a damn thing. I heard Trump say, well, it's complicated up here. It's a lot of give and take, and you're not going to win every one. It's like, Trump, the people ain't winning nothing. It's not about y'all winning against each other. It's about y'all are killing us.
Yeah.
Why should I have to pay $18,750 for a fucking organization that can't even run a balanced checkbook and prints monopoly money every time they want to say, well, we got that straight, we paid that? It's like, no, you didn't. You just made our $18,750 go up to $26,000 with your stupid games. By the time we pay it back, it's sort of like buying a house. You never own it. You just keep paying and paying and paying. By the time you're done paying, you're like, what happened to my life? You know?
Yeah, it's just gone. It just disappears because you're so
Right,
busy.
so nothing changed. It's the same old bullshit.
Yeah, it's because you're busy because you're a responsible taxpayer trying to make sure that your house taxes are paid for, your car is taken care of, it's in working condition so you can get back and forth to work, that your kids have food in the refrigerator, all these different things. And they rely on us to be responsible because the people that they have doing their dirty work are being paid to not have to go to work. So they can just show up and have signs or throw rocks through windows and things like that. And that's the difference. And as we see the money dry up because Doge is cutting the cords, you're going to have less and less protests. You're going to have less and less people being able to go out and do all these things for jobs because they don't have the money to pay them. You see what I mean? So we'll start seeing less and less of that because we have they don't have any of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see how Made in America works out. I've been Made in America forever. I've always bought American cars and blah blah blah. And I can tell you, we gave away our productivity and basically got slave labor making the things that we consume. And then all you hear is people talk about how horrible America is for slavery. It's like, we're worse now than we ever were. If you take a cruise, the person taking care of your room steward, is more than likely an indentured servant from a third world country working off their debt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's everywhere. The cocoa industry, where everybody gets their chocolate from, slavery. Clothes, slavery. Shoes, slavery. And everybody goes and, I could care less about another country getting the money until I realized that there have slaves making it. We pay them, and then their government does the same thing we do, disperses that money to their friends.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I mean, life is not supposed to be easy. I never saw that written anywhere.
No.
In comprehending the evil in people, or just when things get out of hand. And the probably the biggest thing that I've ever really come to at this age, looking at all these things we've been talking about right now, is that whoever these people are, they just have some delusional idea. And if I could just say one thing to them, it would be, always remember the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
Because our egos get all that, oh, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix that. The only thing I try to fix is me, and I'm my biggest problem. I can totally ignore all that other shit. Get a loaf of bread and take off in the mountains and be gone 2 weeks. I'm just simple like that. I'm a country boy at heart. And, if you can't piss in your yard anymore because of the neighbors, it's time to move out in the country,
Yeah.
And that's just my mentality, right? And I can be that way about all this stuff. I
Well,
like
see,
being
that's
in
what
this
I
heated
did, though.
politics.
I understand because that's exactly what I did. I left, you know, living right outside of New Orleans to come to Hillbillyville, basically, to get away from a lot of things that were going on that were changing, and it wasn't safe. You know, it just wasn't safe anymore.
And you know what? And
even though I miss it.
In America, you can do that, Janet.
Yeah.
I've
And I
been,
was
and I know
lucky
you've been in other
that I
countries.
had a place to go to. You see what I mean? Because a lot of people, they're stuck in California and some of these other places simply because they have no place to go. And that's what's sad. And so I know I'm very thankful that I did have something to do and somewhere to go. But here's another little thing I thought was really good, because it's about the some of the cuts that they've made and are making. So there's, even though we're not hearing it a lot, they are making cuts. They're trying to stop the bleeding, you know, of all the money that it's just been pouring out of all the taxpayers' money just being spent on, you know, tons of shit that we would never have said, hey, here's half my paycheck, go spend it on that stupid shit, you know. But we wouldn't do that if we were allowed to know where the money was going, and we were allowed to say, hell no, that's ridiculous. We'd tell them no. But this, let's play this so you can hear it. Here we go.
Welcome back. We have breaking news right now from the Department of Energy as Secretary Christopher Wright announces the termination of 24 projects, generating more than $3 billion in taxpayer savings. Joining me now is the man himself, Department of Energy Secretary Chris Wright. Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for being here.
Great to be here, Maria, in this beautiful setting.
It's a beautiful setting, and we have so much to get to. And I love the fact that your background is all energy, whether it's oil and gas or nuclear or solar. So you're really going to hit on everything. But, Ms. Secretary, you say 70% of those projects were signed between Election Day and January 20th?
Yeah, this is the thing I think that should alarm taxpayers. Nearly $100 billion of taxpayer money was committed to businesses all across this country to mostly build bridges to nowhere in 76 days after President Biden lost the election and before President Trump was inaugurated. Nearly $100 billion of taxpayer money was committed in just a rush and a mad dash to get money out the door.
That is
Who wins in that?
extraordinary. That is extraordinary. I mean, in other words, they had money that they wanted to spend. They knew that they lost the election, so they just wanted to just get it out and allocate it to wherever they wanted, even though, I mean, these projects were not necessarily in line with what the American people wanted.
Exactly. A little over $40 billion was committed in the previous 15 years. The whole history of the Loan Program Office, a cylinder is a famous example of that, but a little over $40 billion over 15 years, and then $90 billion in 76 days. It's just appalling.
Wow.
They're spending your money like it's just
Going out of style.
confetti.
That is just incredible. Thank you for your attention to that. And that is a huge breaking news story. We appreciate you talking about it. Give us your priorities at the Department of Energy and how you want to see policies change.
President Trump got elected to lower energy prices, reindustrialize America, bring jobs and opportunity back to our country, and peace abroad. And he is pursuing that agenda aggressively. And energy plays a big part in that. You know, last 4 years, we saw over a 25% rise in electricity prices, but no increase in the production of electricity. Now we have the AI race in full steam that we cannot lose. We must stay ahead of China. And what does it take to win an AI? A lot more American energy. So we're going to grow American energy production of all forms across the country, keep electricity prices in check, and stay ahead and win the AI race.
So it starts with oil and gas, but you've also talked about nuclear, and you've talked about other areas to do that. Why has nuclear been so underinvested, and what's the opportunity there?
Government regulatory burden and fear. It's much easier to scare someone than to reassure them. And we've had a nationwide, I think it's fading now, but we have made it just uneconomic to develop nuclear power plants. Now, Americans have responded with innovation and new generation of nuclear power plants that if everything in the world goes wrong, they automatically shut themselves off. They're smaller in scale, so we can build them faster and cheaper. But that industry hasn't built much for 2 or 3 or 4 decades. So it's going to take a little nudge, a little push, a little incentives to get the nuclear industry back going again. But we want to see it grow. Just tremendous growth potential. And you get electricity whether the sun is shining or the wind is blowing.
Well, the president signed several executive orders in that regard, reforming nuclear reactor testing at the Department of Energy. Will this spark a whole new group of companies to start, springing forward to actually work on that?
It will indeed. It will indeed. And that last executive order you mentioned there is at the Idaho National Lab. There's a lot of spare land. There's a test containment vessel that people can bring their reactors and demonstrate their feasibility, help them get regulatory approval, and get those things built commercially.
I want to get your take.
Before we go to the next thing, that's one thing. I was in a space and I was listening to people talk about it. They said that they are now making nuclear reactors that use hydrogen peroxide or something like that. Yeah, I was really shocked. I couldn't believe that. But the fact that California closed all 5 of their nuclear power plants, and then they want everything to be electric, just ridiculous. But yeah, I think this is really interesting, and I hope that we can get Trump to keep pushing this agenda.
On what's going on in Venezuela. I spoke with Chevron CEO Mike Wirth, and he told me about the administration's policies on importing oil from Venezuela and the threat of China moving in if Chevron moves out. Watch this.
A good portion of Venezuelan oil has historically come to the United States. Refineries on the Gulf Coast are designed to run that specific type of oil, and so it's very important for energy security in the U.S. The changes in the rules mean that that oil won't flow to the U.S. now, so making us less secure. China is actually the largest buyer of Venezuelan oil today, and I think the discussions that you reference, Venezuelan government officials have been in China very recently, encouraging China to buy more. And so as the largest buyer today, the policies could drive even more of that trade to China.
Isn't that China's MO? Lend a country money, they can't pay it back, and then over time dominate and run that country. And President Trump moved forward with not renewing Chevron's license to produce and import Venezuelan oil, but is allowing the company to maintain its assets there. A Chevron spokesperson told us Chevron's continued presence in Venezuela remains in compliance with all applicable laws and regulations. So where are we on this, Secretary?
That's a key distinction that the president made there. Look, there's lots of problems with Venezuela. Think of the drug gangs migrating into our country. Think of domestic problems in that country. The president and our Secretary of State are very involved in moving things forward with Venezuela. But in the meantime, we're preserving Chevron's assets. Chevron's been in Venezuela for over 100 years. This keeps an American company to protect those assets. But of course, someday we'll have much better relations with Venezuela, and you'll see American companies playing major roles in the industry in Venezuela. But we're not there yet. Think of the last administration. They wanted to shut down oil production in Alaska and across our country, and then go beg Venezuela and Iran for oil for the United States. This is the opposite. This is allowing American companies to produce oil and natural gas and all energy sources in our country, American workers, lower prices, products here, and not be dependent upon foreign countries that have been adversaries or trouble for the United States.
And I know you're going to Alaska after this trip, and I'll be eager to hear the energy capacity that you want to talk about. But I want to get to the supercomputer announcement. Yesterday, you were at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, and you announced new contracts with Dell Technologies as well as another company to develop what? Tell me about the AI project of our time, is what you called it.
So this is another fantastic supercomputer that's going to be constructed. Yeah, Dell and NVIDIA as the main suppliers for that at Lawrence Berkeley National Labs. This would not have been launched until, wouldn't even be this year under the old Biden administration rules. And one of the things I'm doing, and President Trump, is cleaning out the bureaucratic mess that makes everything move slow. Innovation in AI can't move slowly. So we were able to launch yesterday the construction of an awesome new supercomputer named after Jennifer Doudna. This is an awesome American Nobel Prize-winning scientist who figured out how you can edit the human genome. This is awesome power, also awesome responsibility. But what we will see in the next few years in drug discovery, in diseases that have plagued us for years, how we can just snuff them out. I could not be more excited. And using AI as a tool and fantastic researchers at this supercomputer, the Doudna.
I love this. First of all, I remember when I first started covering the Human Genome Project, back then it was so expensive to actually get a picture and a whole understanding of your entire human genome. We didn't do enough on the brain, so I'm still waiting on that. But you're talking about a supercomputer that gets ahead of disease. We were just talking about this with a leading a lung cancer surgeon the other day, and he made the point that we have to be careful to secure the medical research funding in America so that China does not get ahead of us on that. It sounds like this is doing exactly that.
Oh, this will supercharge it. It's getting bureaucracies out of way and freeing scientists up. That's what drives progress. That is across the board the president's agenda, and certainly evidenced by this new supercomputer being launched at Lawrence Berkeley Labs.
When will we actually see? When will we see some evidence of this? I mean, when will we actually see that people will begin to understand how significant this is when it comes to saving lives?
Well, I think less than 2 weeks ago, there was a story of a baby born with a rare but critical genetic disease, and using the technology that Jennifer Doudna developed, that child was cured. A child less than 2 weeks old. That's a single personal story, but watch this unfold in the next few years.
What a fantastic portfolio that you have, Secretary. Great to have you this morning.
Thanks so much, Maria.
Thank you so much, Secretary Chris Wright. Don't miss our fireside chat tonight.
But yeah, all that stuff is really, really interesting when it comes to what we already know that they're already working on. And just like what he said, Trump is trying to get it to where using AI and to cut through some of the bureaucratic red tape, basically, to make things go a little smoother and a lot faster. So hopefully, is there a way to do that with the courts? That's what I'm wondering, if there's any way to do that. Do you think there is? Chris, are you there? Oh, maybe he got disconnected. But that was my last article that I had for tonight to read about or to talk about. See, he got dropped. Sorry about that. But thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me tonight. And hopefully it didn't get you too riled up. But that's the way it is sometimes with politics, when you don't have everyone at the table doesn't agree on what's going on, right? So I just want to say thank you again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and enjoy your weekend as much as you can. I'm going to be having rain, but hopefully you guys will have better weather than I do. But thank you for hanging out with me, and God bless America. Good night.
First off, let me convey to my family, friends, and supporters that now is not the time to gloat. We must remember that most of our left-leaning friends are good people who want the same things in life as we do, but simply think differently on how to get there. It is now time to be the bigger man, to extend an olive branch and unite all reasonable people of this great nation. God has blessed America, and together with President Trump, we will make America great again.